Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNoseNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
You know, if we were hip enough, we would have the show on TikTok, but I'm not going to be responsible for that. And you can also hear those sound effects that just came through come lovingly from our man in Brooklyn, one agent _70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. And you can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find this podcast on your podcast portal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. And actually, I am going to bear with me for a moment for 1 second, folks. Okay, good, cool. You could also find us recording here every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. on the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/TheClickNation. And also twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and all that good stuff. And leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Seafood plate. So, folks, tonight's show is a goodie, like they all are. Let's face it. But we don't have a what if to go through anymore because that's all done. We don't have anything until well, I guess we don't have anything until Eternals.
Right.
Yeah, Eternals and then Hawkeye. But regardless, what we do have right now is, as we promised last week, Agent 70's recap of his sojourn into New York Comic Con from last weekend.
Right. So I was only at New York Comic Con for one day. I declined to go all 4 days for good reason. You know, I wasn't exactly enthused by the guest list, and after hearing the two major comic book publishers not show up, those being Marvel and DC, and Image didn't have a booth, and there was just it was just a very much a scaled back version of New York Comic Con, obviously due to the pandemic conditions. I didn't have the urge to or the I didn't have the urgency to go for all 4 days. So I stuck to my guns and went on Sunday, which is not the best day in the world to go because oftentimes guests tend to leave before Sunday just to get out before the crowds, just to get out before weekend travel becomes an issue. And and I understand that, but at the same time, I feel like I could have done this show in a day if I'd gotten a Saturday pass. Like a legitimate full day would have been sufficient for me to cover everything I needed to do and wanted to do. But I'll tell you that I missed out on getting much of anything actually autographed because I think I brought like a few Donny Cates comics, and he had already vacated his booth. He was still in the con, by the way. He was still around the building doing things, but he wasn't at his booth in Artist Alley on Sunday. I brought a few books for Donny Cates to sign, but that was pretty much it. But what I ended up doing, in lieu of going to see the Marvel stuff, which normally they have a great booth and they always have creators to have signed. Even Midtown Comics didn't have a booth this year. Sad to say. There were several comic book retailers from the New York City area that did have booths, but among them Bulletproof Comics, Royale Collectibles, St. Mark's Comics came back, has come back this year and has reopened this year, and they had a booth as well. But given that Marvel and DC weren't around, the big creators really weren't signing on the show floor. But you know who did have a lot of space on the show floor? They
Ooh.
were the animation and manga companies, namely Funimation and Viz Media. Funimation, oh, and Toei Animation. And I'll give some images right now, and this is another reason for everyone to try to tune into our video feeds on Twitch, on YouTube, because I'm about to go through a couple of images of my experience at New York Comic Con. So I'm going to just jump in and start sharing a couple of photos that that will show a little bit of what I saw. I have not posted many of these on social media, but the one I'm going to start with is on my Instagram at agent_70 on Instagram. So just give me a second to share this photo. And Roddykat is going to tell me for sure that this share is up.
It's well, I see it on Skype. I do not see it on in the feed, however.
Oh no, it is not in the feed.
Does not appear to be so, sir.
That is not good.
Yeah, but I do see it on Skype, so I'm not sure what is going on there.
That's odd. I'm going to turn on our Twitch feed and check that out. Bear with us, folks.
Unless, let me do something. Let me see something here. This would be weird if this worked. You know what? Let me not do that because I'm.
Yeah, don't. I was about to say, don't do too much, because then if this doesn't appear, then I'll just describe things verbally, and maybe Roddykat will be able to enjoy some of these photos and see what I got to see.
Well, I definitely will.
So, here, you can see that the crowd on Sunday wasn't that big. They obviously restricted, they reduced the attendance, that they reduced the number of badges / tickets being sold for Sunday because of the COVID restrictions that are in place. The vaccine, proof of vaccine was mandatory to get into New York Comic Con this year, which definitely drove some people away. Good riddance, in my opinion. But otherwise, I think anecdotally, I heard from creators that they actually, and creators and vendors alike, saying that they actually liked the smaller crowd because it was just easier to get around. People weren't on top of each other. It just wasn't as hectic and crazy. I did hear that Saturday was kind of hectic and crazy. Here's another shot of the one of the entrances to Javits, and you could see that the crowd's not nearly as crazy, but this is also relatively early in the morning. The con opens at 10, and this was maybe 10:30, 10:40. So, a bunch of people had gotten in already, but at the same time, I think people are still kind of filtering in. Again, another shot of that. Let's see here. Oh, this is a booth outside. This is the Funimation booth outside for a picture. It's one of the parks that Funimation set up, and you could get some free stuff if you're a Funimation subscriber. It's one of the few times I lucked out as a Funimation subscriber. I entered and got a token for something, got some free swag. I'll show in a minute, but let me rewind this and just jump around to, this is a shot of agent_70 in front of the Viz booth online for some free swag next to Midoriya Izuku from My Hero Academia. let me jump around to the Toei animation booth. So there were picture opportunities for you to get in front of basically life-size replicas of characters from Dragon Ball Z, and you could jump in. I mean, there was like a little area that you could stand in front of to take a picture with these characters. There's Shenlong / Shenron that is extending above. I have pictures of this later on, but you could see that. There's a You could see in my gallery of pictures that show up, you could see Ultimate Instinct Goku here from Dragon Ball Super. Scrolling up, here's a great shot of the volleyball anime that I love that Roddykat hasn't watched yet. This is from Haikyuu. This is a cosplay that I would do because it's so simple. You just order the volleyball uniforms online and put some sneakers and maybe some volleyball pads on, and you can dress up as the team from Haikyuu. Mm-hmm. So they've got the full six person team here. I thought this was pretty cool.
Hey, do me a favor.
I'm seeing it online. I'm seeing the pictures online.
Yeah, I had to do some jiggering, but yeah, because for some strange reason not coming up on Skype, so I had to kind of do a thing. Anyway, yeah, go back to a couple of those other pictures again. Not powdered
Which
toast,
picture?
Man. Yeah, the ones you were just talking about. Just kind of flash the room. Okay, so that's the Dragon Ball Z one.
Right.
Wish that had been cool. I would have loved to have.
I'll take a picture in front of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool. Here's the Haikyuu team.
Is that like Samurai Vader? Okay, yes, Haikyuu. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get back to the Samurai Vader. Samurai Vader. Yeah, this was some life-sized stuff that you could buy, which is stupendously expensive.
I bet.
Let's see. Let me go up to. Here's the that was it that Tech On. That Tech On stuff, Tech On Avengers, right? So this is a sample of the Tech On Iron Man. That is I guess in production or about to go into production from Bandai.
I want to say they're probably already out because I feel like I've seen we talked about seeing a display on those.
Right. This is one of the more cool ones that I saw. Mm-hmm. I didn't recognize this, but a lot of people did.
Powdered Toast Man.
Right. I had no idea who that was, but I thought it was a really well done set of costumes.
Mm-hmm. From Brenny Stippy, of course.
Got it. Listen, that's beyond my that was beyond my recognition. I was just like, I don't know what that is, but that looks really cool. Can I get a picture?
Right.
Which happens a lot at New York at any con, but especially at New York Comic Con because it's so big.
True.
That we're bound to see things that we don't recognize, and obviously with my anime exposure, there's a lot less that I don't recognize now, at least in terms of the popular stuff. Like here's from My Hero Academia. Here's a Bakugo and Deku. Midoriya Izuku. A little bit of gender swapping here on the Midoriya.
Nice.
Let's see here. Let me just flip through to here's some more Dragon Ball cosplay. From the Toei animation booth, the ape Vegeta, which was gigantic and towered and obviously was a big photo op for lots of people. I have no idea who that person is in that photo. I just happened to walk by when it was a good photo op. Let's see here.
A box set.
Here's a nice little display from Demon Slayer talking about Demon Slayer being a really popular cosplay. You can even see here in this image, there's someone in the green and black checkered in the bottom right.
Of course. That
green and black checkered Haori from that is what the main protagonist of the anime Tanjiro Kamado wears. This is a Demon Slayer booth for collectibles. Lots of I think Tamashii Nation style action figures here. That are and collectibles. That are Some priced reasonably, some priced on the expensive side because of how detailed they are.
Mhm.
But lots of Demon Slayer at the con this year. Let me see. Let me get moving a little bit. I did see. Oh, this was a nice Doctor Strange.
Okay. There's a Captain Carter and yep, Doctor
Yes,
Strange.
I will pull up that Captain Carter in a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this was a nice
That's pretty
Doctor
good.
Strange. Let's see. This is from a horror movie apparently. Midsummer.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it, but
Never have I.
I definitely had to take a picture because I thought it was so well done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Let's see here. There's a group of characters that decide to jump in. It was like Carnages with Mario and Luigi and Wario
Mm-hmm.
and a Spidey in there to boot. So, these are just rando people that, jumped into the photo.
An MCU Spidey at that.
Yes. Let's see. Here was the Miles again, who's mixed with Spider-Punk
Mm-hmm. That one's cool. I
in an
like that.
action. Yeah, in an action pose. I'll pull up that Captain Carter I saw.
And the Sailor Moon.
Here's a Carter,
Mm-hmm.
which was I was happy to see this. This is done. This is well done.
Yeah, I suspected that one was going to show up.
I didn't see very many. I
Mhm.
only saw one. I saw maybe another one that I saw in passing. Just didn't have a chance to take a photo.
Gotcha.
But again, this is a Sunday, so a lot of people do their cosplays like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Maybe take Sunday off if they even show up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
and given that character is kind of relatively new,
oh, it doesn't matter. As
I
soon as
know,
they
but
get,
what I'm saying is
right,
whether people had a
as
chance
soon
to
as
put it
I was about to
together.
say, as soon as people get an image, they will start cosplaying. Oh, and
Oh,
here
yeah,
is a gigantic group of Demon Slayer cosplayers.
Nice.
There's a ton of Demon Slayer out there.
Of course.
So they were all up in that, and that's generally, that's the bulk of it. Oh, here is that. This is video of that
Oh
that
yeah.
Biggie statue
Yeah.
that went on pre-order today.
Mhm.
But you can see this. We won't let the video play, but you can see here. Oh, yeah, it was before it starts playing and gets us a copyright ban because I think there's music playing in the background of it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that goes on pre-sale today, actually, as of this
yes,
recording. So
yes. Here is that. Here, remember I said before there was a Shenron
Mhm.
image that I had. Here it is.
Okay.
This is the full image from that photo op with Dragon Ball Z, which is pretty cool. And I think the last thing I'll show before I move on to the goodies that I got is a little bit more Demon Slayer. Actually, some Star Wars. Let me end on some Star Wars.
Wait, is that? Oh, that Ginyu Force is also a Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So here's some cool. There's a Nightwing, a Dora Milaje, an Ahsoka, and I presume a Hera.
That's yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I love that the Hera and the Ahsoka integrated their face masks into their cosplay,
Right.
which is really cool. Yeah, the Ginyu Force. I forgot their names. The posing guys. That's how I was thinking. That's what I was thinking of.
I'm assuming that's supposed to be a Koye specifically, but yeah, you could. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Without really, without really knowing that they were going for Okoye,
right?
It's just, it's Adora. So, but it's cool. Yeah. So here's the Ginyu Force. Here's another photo op at the Toei animation booth.
I would totally be right in the middle of them, be like,
of course. So bottom line is, I'm going to stop the share now and get to some of the stuff that I was able to get my hands on. Bottom line is, with Marvel and DC not having booths at all on the show floor or in the con at all, I think that ReedPop, the company behind New York Comic Con, decided to give Toei Animation and Funimation more room to play with on the show floor, and the bulk. And you saw how much space. You could think about how much space these photo op statues take up.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard from a lot of people, they were surprised that Toei, the Dragon Ball, they called it the Dragon Ball area. It's the Toei animation area. But the Dragon Ball area got so much space at the front, basically front and center of the show floor. But I understood because it's popular.
Right.
It's something that's going to draw lots of people to them.
That's going to be
especially
a
with
bigger
a
thing.
photo op, opportunity. There's going to be a crowd of people standing around waiting in line basically to take their photos.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's going to be a bigger and bigger thing. Like it's a bigger thing now because the big two weren't there, but I'm pretty sure that even if they were there, this is going to be still going to be a big thing.
Right, and traditionally they've always had a presence, but obviously with Marvel and DC not taking up any floor space at all, there's just more room for the anime and the manga to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you that I was online at Viz, and well, I can tell you that the figure arts, the Demon Slayer figure arts thing that I stopped at,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn off my my virtual background so this stuff shows up a little bit better. But just bear with me a second, folks. So this is like a little portfolio for Demon Slayer that I got from Tamashii Nations, right? So, it's just, it just holds paper, holds documents, but it's kind of cool for like, kids who are like in school and whatnot. I did happen to see a professional artist that I'm friendly with. His name is Brian Kong. He does sports card art for Topps and other companies. And this is a print that he did that was inspired by the Once Upon a Time in Queens 30 for 30 documentary about the 1986 New York Mets. And I made sure to get this. This was a con exclusive. This is pretty fun to see. Like I said, I got lots of free stuff from some of these booths. Some free posters. The one that's worth looking at is obviously the Demon Slayer one. This might actually go up in the home office because it doesn't have on it from Viz Media like an advertisement. The advertisement's on the back.
Right.
I got some other stuff from the Viz Media booth, some other like posters like for Bleach. It's on my list of anime.
Yes.
All right. So I'm not familiar with Bleach, so I couldn't help you with that. Another one for, I guess, the next chapter of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind.
Oh yes. Let's see this.
Yeah, this is from manga because this is from the Viz booth. So this is for Shonen Jump, people to subscribe to Shonen Jump so that they can read the latest chapters of the manga online. Mm-hmm. Some more free stuff. The Viz Media booth was pretty cool. They gave away cool stuff, like they gave away a pirate recipe for meat on the bone. The recipe for meat on the bone is on the back of this little card here. Tokyo Ghoul is not on my list yet for anime, but they gave away, I think this is Funimation. I could be mistaken though, but this is a folding mask for Tokyo Ghoul. Have you ever watched this?
No, but I know people will really like it.
Okay. So I haven't put it on my list yet, but I think I'm going to add it shortly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's like a folding mask for one of the characters there.
Right. Oh, and also that Golden Wind is not the latest season; it's the last season.
Oh, the last season. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of JoJo, Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. Oh, Part 5. I guess it's the last season. Yeah. So you get this little bomber glider that you can put together. You can punch it out and fold it and create a glider.
Man, haven't seen those in a while.
Yeah. talk about going retro, right?
Right.
I think this is from the Tamashii Nation. So I ended up getting something from Tamashii Nations. I got this cool little fan.
Oh, nice.
which didn't really come in handy, but it's kind of cool just to kind of stash at your desk, just
Right.
in case you ever feel, the need to have just a little bit
Oh man, too
of
bad it's not
fanning.
one of those. Yeah, too bad it's not one of those big fold out ones like the ones that you see in the movies that go, you know.
Yeah, right.
But that's
Um,
basically a church fan.
right. Exactly. It is a church fan. Viz had the spinning wheel that you could get pins from Mashley.
Okay, not familiar,
Does
but
that ring a bell?
mm-mm.
A manga. So yeah, you could get a pin. I got a free pin from Mashley. Um,
Hmm.
let's see here. There's not much left before I get to some of the purchase items. I got a Frieza, like that's not a pendant. What is it called? Like one of those tokens that you can tie to your phone.
Oh, like a charm.
Charm. That's
Yeah.
it. I couldn't remember what the name, what these things are called. But yeah, I got a Frieza charm. I'm like, oh great, Frieza, Frieza. All right, so I will get to the purchases because that's pretty much it. Got a couple of lanyards from Funimation. That's pretty cool. Oh, you know what's funny? So one of the lanyards I got from Funimation, I gave to a buddy of mine. I thought it was defective, but it turns out it's a water bottle holder, and the rubber ring at the end of it is flexible so that you can put it around like a Poland Spring bottle mouth and carry
Ah,
it with the lanyard. I was like,
gotcha.
oh, that's what it is.
That's
I
actually
actually had a
kind of
picture
cool.
of it in my
Yeah.
gallery before.
Right.
So in terms of purchases, I did get the exclusive. I saw we had an article on this in the news earlier. I did get the Son Goku Kaioken Super Saiyajin Gota
Oh, nice.
SHF Figure Arts action figure.
You did say you were gonna gun for
Yep,
it.
yep, yep. And I did get a reservation for it, so I was guaranteed one, and I got it, and it's pretty cool. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm gonna put it up on my shelf behind me at some point.
Hmm.
But it's
Oh, that's
pretty cool,
cool. Yeah.
and it's reasonably, for one of these more expensive figures, it's relatively reasonably priced, so it's not
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. I saw the price on it. I don't know if it's the same as what you got it for, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
it's
doesn't
60
seem too bad.
bucks. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
60 bucks.
Yeah.
I saw that's the general price, but
Mm.
for people who are pre-ordering it now. But I don't have to pre-order. I got mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You went straight to the south. Just,
you know, and in terms of the artist, as I said earlier, Artist Alley was kind of bare in my opinion, but there were a couple of artists that I saw that I recognized and were cool. The first one is Agnes Garbowska. She does Tiny Titans and stuff like that. And the best print that she had was, of course, Demon Slayer related. So this Nezuko is going to go up on my office walls and shortly,
oh, nice. I love her stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
right? And more Demon Slayer stuff because that's just like the rage nowadays. So it's an artist that I actually knew that I met as he was coming up through the School of Visual Arts here in New York City. I met him at a comic book store, and I've touched base with him a couple of times at con since. But his name is Kreese Lee. He had a short story in the Marvel's Voices Identity book. It was the Jimmy Woo story,
Okay.
and he also had a Demon Slayer print for sale that I picked up. I'll put up in the office behind me for display. So sorry for the ring light reflection, folks, but it's a pretty cool print. So that's essentially what I picked up. It was overall an okay experience for the first pandemic New York Comic Con. The hope is that next year, the talk is that next year they're going to go back to full capacity. That's obviously contingent upon many factors, including the progress of the pandemic.
Hmm.
But in terms of what you could get out of it, I think I got out of it what I needed and wanted. Despite the fact that I got, that I was only there on a Sunday, and it's obviously the kind of the worst day to be there. New York Comic Con has done a good job of programming Thursday to be more attractive, and I'm wondering if maybe I should get a Thursday badge if Saturday badges don't come through next year for me, if they are still doing a somewhat reduced a reduced attendance level. I would also say that, if not Thursday, Friday, as opposed to bailing for just the Sunday, I think Friday would be the day to try to go and just take a day off and just go on a Friday if Saturday doesn't come through,
Right.
because I think that ends up being the next best day to be at the con. So, that's a little bit of live and learn for me this year.
I was about to say Saturday. You're generally right about Sundays, but also Sundays is also a good day if you go in there for a specific purpose, as in shopping for deals. Like because we talked about after the show last week, which we both noticed that having con experience. But yeah, for
Exactly.
pretty much anything else, yeah, it's not a great day to go. But yeah, if you're just going there hunting for some deals and whatnot, that's a better day to go than none.
Exactly. I mean, if what you're looking for is actually there,
exactly.
Some things get snapped up earlier in the con and they don't restock.
True.
Which can be a pain in the neck. But if it comes down to it and you're able to kind of wait things out and swoop in at the last second, that's essentially what you're doing. Right. Then great. Sunday's a good deal. And I know that some people did in fact make the most of their time on Sunday and got some really good deals. So I think overall it was a good con experience. I think anecdotally and personally, I can say that the crowd level was manageable. Sunday was sold out. So it's not like they had extra tickets, for sale on the day of.
Gotcha.
And they had plenty, they had plenty of room for people to walk around, which is great. And we'll just see how things go next year. And we'll just have to see how everything develops. We'll see how it goes next year. That's the best thing I can say is, for my first con during the pandemic times, it turned out to be okay. Scaled back as it was, I got what I wanted out of it, and it definitely helped that I was more familiar with anime stuff now than I would have been pre-pandemic, because I think I would have been much more disappointed had it not been for my anime journey over the course of the pandemic, because I think I would have probably spent more time complaining about the lack of things to do and see.
So I guess if there was any saving grace to this pandemic, if there was one, is that Agent 70 started down the road to anime.
Well, it's my anime journey, because it's not like I haven't been down the road. It's just that it's a continuing journey into stuff that has come out since Battle of the Planets,
Sure.
slash
And
Gotchaman,
Voltron.
and Voltron. So, it's not like the journey. The journey took a long, long, long hiatus for me. But at the end of the day, it was to my benefit to kind of to learn about that stuff. I joked about 2015, I think it was. I want to say it was 2015 or 2016, where I finally caught up on Game of Thrones. So I finally understood all the Game of Thrones cosplay. So now I started to understand and recognize all of the anime well, not all.
Yeah.
Scratch that, check that.
The more
There's no way I'd recognize all the anime cosplay. But in terms of the popular ones, especially Dragon Slayer, because it's so Demon Slayer, that is, because it's so it's relatively easy to do. You don't have to be in the best shape to do it.
Right.
So that's it's cosplayer friendly in that way. So there's lots of Demon Slayer out there. And the next con that you go to, Roddykat, don't be surprised to see tons of that stuff if you haven't caught up on the anime yet.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised now, even not having gone through that. Like I said, I know anime has gotten bigger and bigger every year, and definitely those were going to be there. The more popular stuff like Demon Slayer and I'm surprised there weren't much Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that weren't there, or Fire Force, which I don't think. Wait, have you're not touched on Fire Force yet? So
no, I haven't done Fire Force yet. It's not on my list, but I did have one of my one of the members of my anime advisory committee did mention I should look into Fire Force. I know that one of my friends whose picture showed up in the gallery, did the mentor in from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yes, yes.
I forget the name,
I
but the
forget his name.
mentor, you know, the
Yeah,
guy
I know who you're talking
who walks around with his eyes covered,
about.
he did that particular cosplay on, I want to say, Saturday.
Yeah,
So
that
there
one's
was
definitely going
some
to be popular.
Jujutsu Kaisen out there.
Okay, yeah, that one's definitely a popular. Start the What's this Gogen or something? I can't remember the name of it, but I know who you're talking about. So,
But you know, but in terms of my personal cosplay, I like the Demon Slayer because, like I said, you don't have to be in the best shape to pull it off. You just have to get the equipment. You have to get the costume. You don't even necessarily need a sword, you know. But there's always people. There's always booths that sell like prop swords, you know, that you can get in and out of the con easily because they're foam
oh, absolutely.
or plastic, and you know there's a big market for that stuff. And you know, and Haikyuu, the picture, you know, the volleyball team I showed you, that picture, that's definitely something that I would do because that's just fun. That's just a fun costume because it's just a volleyball uniform.
Hmm.
So, you know, all in all, I thought it was a good experience for the first pandemic con in New York. Oh, the first New York pandemic con. There have been other smaller ones, but I haven't gone to any of those yet.
Gotcha. And yeah, we're pretty much nearing the end of con season anyway. So this is
Mhm.
pretty much New York, what Baltimore. No, then that's pretty much the end of. That usually ends up marking the end of con season. Probably a few smaller
Yes.
ones, like you said, sprinkled around.
Yeah, Baltimore, I believe, is next week or this
Mm.
week.
Is it? I thought it was 2 weeks after.
Well, no, it depends on the calendar.
Right.
Uh, there have been times when it was a week later, and there have been times when it was 2 weeks later. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to consult the Googles and see what it says about Baltimore Comic Con this year.
Right.
So yeah, 22nd to 24th. So it's 2 weeks.
Okay. So yeah, cool. And as we said earlier, folks, if you are listening to the audio version of this here podcast, you should very much check out the video version for that bit. Uh, yeah, there was some good stuff there, so you definitely check it out sometime.
Right, and it was just a Sunday, folks. You
Hmm.
know, I saw plenty on just a Sunday. It was just basically the shortest day of the con.
Yeah, and you putting some of that you putting that up on your Instagram or some of it.
Maybe,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe I have to curate it and sort it.
Yeah. So look out for this. Just you know what, check out his Instagram anyway, because I know he's doing Inktober. So do that anyway, and if
I'm
you
up to
happen to see
date.
some,
I'm up to date on Inktober.
I
I
saw.
did I did a quickie drawing today after dinner.
Hmm.
And I knocked out two drawings today because I skipped yesterday, so I knocked out two quick drawings today. So I'm up to date.
Nice. So yes, and you should definitely check that out at Instagram.com/agent_70. That being the case, we are going to move on to the comic books of the week, unless you got something in passing to.
No, 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 we're good.
Okay, yeah. So we'll go on to the comic books real quick or quickishly. And so we said we were going to start off with. Sad to see this go. Immortal Hulk number 50.
So the creative team on Immortal Hulk number 15. This is the last time you're going to see this group of names put together. You know, according to Al Ewing. So it's
Yes.
written by Al Ewing with art by Joe Bennett, inks by Rui Jose and Bellardino Bravo. Well, it's pencils by Joe Bennett, inks by Rui Jose and Bellardino Bravo, colors by Paul Mounts, and inks by and letters, that is, letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So we're finally getting to the culmination of Al Ewing's 50 issue journey that has taken us through some some body morphing, body horror uh, uh, times and images and personality separations, amongst the various alters of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. And now we've gotten to the grand finale, the big confrontation with the leader, which is basically spanned over issue 49 and 50. And we get to this point in the story, and I want to say it's kind of anticlimactic because the payoff is there, but I don't know if it's the payoff everyone expects because it's not exactly a knockdown, drag out fight. It's not like that at all. There's elements of that here, but it's really not central to the conclusion of Al Ewing's story. We start off with kind of a twist on the origin of both Samuel Stearns, the leader, and Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and um, their possible their possible connection going back many, many generations at this point. What did you think about that from Ohio in 1901? You're on mute, Roddykat.
So yeah, that part was kind of interesting. The tying together of the leader and the Banner, well, Banner and the leader's family histories. I almost was like, wait, so they're suggesting that um that Banner is not Banner, but a Stearns.
Mm-mm.
First, I know that's not where they went, but I was like, wait a minute, is that where they're going with this? It's like they're about
Oh,
to
you mean when? Right.
right,
At least at the beginning, right?
right.
That they were at least more. They were actually related by blood, and we find out. Spoiler alert. That's not necessarily the case.
Right. But there were some improprieties in the history, but that also like I said, kind of started their histories together. I'm like that part was kind of interesting, but what I was going to go back and say before that was that we weren't really sure what to expect coming into this last issue. And this if this series has told us anything is that not really sure what to expect. Much less a big, you know, expected knockdown drag down fight, although you would kind of feel like there should have been what, which is
Right.
probably why people are disappointed and understandably so, I guess, in certain places, but also subverting expectations is what this book has been doing since the beginning. So
Right.
go so far as that, but yeah, that whole history thing was like kind of weird, but also was like, okay, so where are they going with this? And they kind of went somewhere with it. It was not to give anything away, but that part was like, okay, so what? Like I get it. The demons started way back then. In a way. And of course it was spoiler alert, it was over a woman, so uh but outside of that, I was like, okay, so what does this mean? So
Mm-hmm.
what particularly does this mean? And the while the book kind of took a length to go a certain like take it a certain place. And as Agent 70 said before the show, there was like the all of the biblical references started making, well, not started, but they've been making, but they kind of summed up
Well,
what
they
makes
made
sense.
much more. Yeah, they made
Right.
much more clearer sense. We
Exactly.
had a gist of what Al Ewing was getting at here, with obvious references and connotations with the the green door leading to hell, or at least a version of hell,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the many hells that are in the Marvel universe. And ultimately we got to see the culmination of that theme and that idea that had been woven throughout the pages of this book. So I think it's going to take me a little time to kind of digest how this all ended.
Yeah, I might need to read
uh,
this again.
like, because I read this, I actually read it slowly to try to absorb it,
Mm-hmm.
and I got what was going on. I definitely understood that to a certain extent Al Ewing has to put the toys back in the toy box,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of where we are at the end of this.
Yeah.
Although there are a couple of characters that have seen changes that at least have lasted beyond the pages of this book. Maybe those changes will last through the end of Gamma Flight. I think Gamma Flight ended this week also.
It did, and I will get into that because let's just say they kind of dealt with that also.
So, um, so bottom line is, I thought that this was an interesting journey and review of Bruce Banner, his origin, how his origin has played into what the Hulk is and what the Hulk has become, and how the Hulk acts and what the Hulk actually does and doesn't do. And there's definitely some strong undercurrents of not necessarily religion but faith. Definitely, you could say, there's some religious undercurrents as well, because but I see it as much more of a broad, in much more broad strokes, the concept of strength and the value of mercy and forgiveness, which is universal amongst all the faiths and religions that are out there. So I really, appreciated that. Oh, shout out to Brooklyn, New York, and the sirens out in the, that sounds like a '70s siren for real.
I know, right? Feel like Hill Street Blues is about to come on.
Yeah, for real. That is not a legit NYPD siren. So I'm not sure what that is. That might be like a ambulance service or something. But bottom line is, I thought that it was a decent, not great, because I think I need to reread it again, even though I did read it slowly. I thought it was a decent conclusion to this story, and as I said, it puts the Hulk and Bruce Banner in position to continue their stories in the Kate's series that's coming up.
Right. So I'm going back to something you just said about the nature of the Hulk and who and what he's supposed to be. Like, I was like, okay, finally, I guess they're gonna necessarily do a nice little neat little retcon here and actually give the Hulk some sort of status, purpose. And it doesn't feel like, again, this is why I need to probably to run it back and read it again, because just like you, I was like, I read it fairly slowly, because usually, especially this book is not necessarily dense, but it's like you kind of gotta take it in as you.
And it's an exercised issue. It's a gigantic issue.
Exactly. It's like 80, 90, so this is 89
not,
pages.
Right. This is not, folks. This is not. If you happen to pick this book up in physical form, I did. Just give me a moment. This is one of those like kind of like old school trade paperback style size, where there's a binding.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right. So this is not a small comic.
Right.
And this is all Hulk story. There's very little filler at the end.
Right.
There's very little filler at the end.
Right. No backstory. No other little side.
Yeah. No backup. Yeah. No backup story. Yeah. There's like an extended letters page and a couple of pages for Alex Ross to show art. Whatchamacallit, like sketches of cover art.
But like I said, once I got to the whole nature of the Hulk thing, I was like, okay, so we're gonna get to something, and I don't feel like they still kind of left it open. They didn't really nail down anything on that. I was like, yeah, you know what this is, we know what it is, but they still and maybe that's something Kate's run is going to go into. I don't know, but I figure like we were, you're gonna put all that out there and go through it. So it was like, all right, fine, we're gonna get something, and then when the one all above showed itself, I'm like, okay, are we supposed to know who or what that is also? Outside.
Well, I mean, that's a traditional Marvel character. That's supposed to be the embodiment of God. If it's not Jack Kirby, And
I suppose,
it's Jack Kirby if it's in the pages of FF, right? But but it's supposed to be the embodiment of God in the Marvel universe. And ultimately, I thought that they answered the question of what the Hulk is, because the Hulk is the sum of his choices. He's not there as an engine of destruction,
right,
but he can be strength and he can be mercy.
Sure.
At the same time. So that's really, that's what I took out. That's what I took from it, is that, it's, and there's the religious and the faith-based undercurrent that's been running through this book. That it's about the choices that we make, right, and it's about the choices that the Hulk makes and the choices that Bruce makes. So that's at least part of what I got out of it. And it's interesting that that Jackie McGee's along for this ride, and that's the reporter character that's been granted some gamma powers over the course of the story, and
a more realized one as of this one.
What's that?
And a more realized one as of this one. She's basically Gamma Cyclops.
Yes and yeah. I guess I was gonna say yes and no, because I guess we don't really know how that works outside of the
oh yeah, the place down the place below.
Yeah, the down below. Yeah, exactly.
True. Or even if it does work, yeah, outside of there.
Exactly.
I mean, we know she has her gamma seeing powers works outside of that, but not to the extent that it did here.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to put an addendum to that, because we know that she has powers that work in outside of that realm, and the way they're unleashed here is a little different, so we're not sure.
Yeah. I don't know, and whether that's going to get addressed or just get left out there. So going back to what you were saying about characters, being whether there's some characters are kind of still out there as they were, and actually I feel like I want to go into Gamma Flight.
Sure.
Just to kind of
sure. I think I was about to say I'm done with Immortal Hulk.
Right.
I'm done commenting on it. If you have anything more, go on. But I think you should follow up with Gamma Flight.
Yeah. So there are a couple of characters that are still on the table as they have been changed, coming out of Immortal Hulk, at least as of this moment. And Gamma Flight number 5, which I will get to in a second, does nothing to change that status right now. However, there is another set of characters that have. So let's go ahead. I don't know what they're going to do with this first set, but the other one, whom I pretty much forgot about, it comes back into play. So actually, let me go ahead and what did I do? Go ahead and bring up the cover as I talk about Gamma Flight number 5, which is the last issue of this miniseries. It is written by Al Ewing and Crystal Frazier. There we go. Let's see, and the rest of the team is the art by Lan Medina, cover artist Antonia Fabella, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So Gamma Flight's been pretty much about the Gamma Flight crew that have been a part of Immortal Hulk up until the last 10, probably 6-7 issues or so, something like that. But they've been on a run since not working for the government anymore, but they've still been helping people. They, I'm not saying recruited another Gamma 5 person, but the person definitely has been working on them. And I don't know if this team is going to go any further after that. But the gist of this issue is that the big bad is an old Hulk villain, the Abomination, who somehow got who we didn't. I don't recall. Did we see the Abomination in Immortal Hulk? I don't think we had.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Because spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right, because spoiler alert, the character who has taken the Abomination mantle is not Emil Blonsky.
Well, so there's the
rub.
Yes, because in Gamma Flight it is Blonsky who has pretty much flipped it.
I see.
Yeah, and has Vortian's persona within him. He's somehow, because we all know General Vortian, who was a Hulk villain, or kind of a Hulk villain in Immortal Hulk, quote unquote, died, but somehow the Abomination ended up with not only his likeness but his memories. And the newest, I guess, member of Gamma Flight, who is his daughter, who goes by the name of Stockpile. But regardless, there's a big fight with Abomination, who apparently gets away, and that whole Scar situation, Scar pretty much was like, look, we don't have to like each other, but we'll you know we'll work. He doesn't like being used in this kind of other. But the other part of this is that and I don't know if you plan on reading this or not, but
I skimmed it, so
okay,
I didn't get all the references that you were just talking about.
gotcha.
But I'll go back and read it just to see what the new status quo is for these characters.
Right.
What I was wondering about is Walter Langowski, because
So
he's in this book as well.
So there we go. So that's what brings me to that, because two characters, like I said, did not have are still pretty much out in the wind as they are Walter Langowski, who is in the body of Doc Samson, and Doc Samson, who is in the body of Sasquatch, or a gamma, I guess a gamma version of Sasquatch, because of
Right.
events that happened during the course of Immortal Hulk. They are still
Right.
pretty much as they are.
All right, so they're still in that situation. Okay.
Right. Now, the characters that did get pretty much changed were Dell and Rick Jones.
Right. My understanding is that, spoiler alert, their status quo is no longer the status quo.
Basically, yes, they were both joined like there was some sort of fusion, messed up fusion dance.
Fusion. Ha.
But now they have split apart thanks to the Absorber Man and a gimmick that shows up here conveniently for the purposes of doing that. So yeah, like I said, that's pretty much the only thing that is changed on of this. And then after that, like I said, we don't know the status of, we don't know if the Gamma Flight is going to come back in any other form, or whether they're going to do anything about the Langowski Doc Samson situation, or just keep them like that for a while. We don't know. Maybe that's another thing that's going to come up in the Hulk book. Who even knows? But ultimately, like I said, we could pretty much get anything out of this 5 issue. This is pretty much like them just kind of going off with their end and taking, at the very least, one loose end of the Immortal Hulk stuff, and that's the Rick Jones Dale situation. So I feel like that's probably the only other thing of note that happened here. But outside of the fight with the Abomination, who got away, so I don't know. That being said, though, that's that. Whether we see this stuff in the whatever that then cases Hulk run is going to be, who even knows? But there's still like one thing, a couple of things are still on the table. Now, they did say something at the end of this about being able to do something about their situation, about Langowski's and Samson's situation in the course of this, but nothing actually ever happened of it.
Right. They just make a passing mention of it.
Right.
And everyone knows that's probably not going to last forever, but it's interesting to see that they didn't resolve it here in the pages of Immortal Hulk or in Gamma Flight.
Exactly. So, like I said, whether there's a little bit more that goes going to it, because they even said it was like, hey, we could do with this. We could deal with this right now. I was like, right now, but like I said, they didn't actually go through the motion of it because
Right.
Samson wasn't there, or Sasquatch, Doc Sasquatch, I guess, and it wasn't there.
Well, right, and Bruce Banner was in the wind.
Exactly.
Even though it shouldn't have been, because it's not like he was breaking out of it's not like he was trying to break out of a standard city building. It was the Baxter building.
Right.
So,
but as he even noted, it was like, yeah, they're pretty unobservant. like yeah, they notice him as a Hulk, but they don't ever notice him as a Banner, because his Banner's puny human. So he just kind of walks out with his new suit and faces the world. So, but yeah. But that's Gamma Flight in it as well. Like whether we see anything from that little the wrinkles that's left over or not, or maybe the next time we see him, it's like, oh yeah, I'm back in my new body. Hey, back in my old body. Hey.
mm-hmm.
So, or they find another way around it. I don't know. We'll see. That being said, let us go on to another book that we both read.
Let's do Amazing. I was going to say, let's do Amazing, then we'll do Rapid Fire.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of books to go through this week.
We do. Amazing Spider-Man number 49. Yeah, we've had some issues with this one, to say the least. So go ahead.
What number did you say this was? It's number 76.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it? What is it? I did say
it's Avengers number 49 this week.
You're
it's
right.
Amazing Spider-Man number 76.
You're right. I was looking at Avengers when I said that.
It's okay.
So
yeah, I was like, what? So Amazing Spidey 76 is written by Zeb Wells, art by Patrick Gleason, colors are by Marcio Moniz, and letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, spoiler alert, we are basically in the direct aftermath of the events of issue 75, where Peter Parker has taken the brunt of a radiation attack from the UFOs from X-ray. And I saw something funny in one of the comments. I forget where I saw this, if it was on Facebook or if I saw it somewhere else. But one of the comments basically said, well, you know, Spidey defeated Morlun by giving himself a gigantic dose of radiation, so why is this different? But
Right.
you know, it's comics, people.
Also, probably
So,
a different dose of radiation, I would assume.
oh, we don't know.
I mean, because from the way they had it seeming like last issue, like this was like a mixture of a couple of different things. Not to say I'm trying to explain it right, because it's still stupid either way.
Right. But the point is, he should be more, and they kind of play off of that in this issue, that he's more tolerant of this kind of radiation poisoning, and there might be something else going on.
Right, because he got his
That's a big,
he got his
right. No,
powers
I was
from
gonna
a
say that's a
radioactive
big
fighter.
hint in
Right.
this issue, that there's something else going on, and not just this this radiation issue that he is apparently coping with.
Right. Which I feel like
So,
we've seen in a way before, because this is not the first time we've seen Spidey as Peter laid out in hospital. But last time, granted, he was damn near dying because of Morlun. Or wait, matter of fact, the whole spider totem thing, if I'm not mistaken.
oh yeah, but that's Morlun. Yeah.
I know, but so that in itself is not as big thing. Like I said, and this is echoing things we said last week. Like, this is the reason why he's in the hospital, and not the events of that whole last arc that we just got out of, and that's kind of
Right.
frustrating in itself.
Right. It's not the end of the Kindred story that puts him in the hospital. So
Right.
that's really what we have to remind yourself of. And and we made a big stink about that last week for a good reason.
Yep.
So just very quickly, in this issue, it turns out that Ben Reilly is feeling somewhat guilty about all this, about the events that occurred at the during the course of the previous issue, and basically gets the Parker family into the hospital to see Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, he's letting the Beyond, this whole Beyond crew that he's got is just really, they're meant to come off as really cold corporate,
Right. Especially his handler.
Right. They're meant to come off as cold and corporate and unfeeling, and it plays out exactly that way over the course of this issue. Peter's situation turns up and then takes a turn for the worse over the course of the issue.
Right.
One thing to note is that we see again Misty Knight and Colleen Wing making a guest appearance in the story on Ben Reilly's side in support of his activities under the Beyond Corporation, but they also are quick to take a shot at the handler from the Beyond Corporation when this guy Marcus basically starts to try to poop all over Peter Parker.
Right.
The OG Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, but bottom line is, there's a revelation here while Peter Parker is on the upswing that, and without spoiling exactly what goes on, is essentially giving Ben Reilly carte blanche to proceed.
Right. Because
I won't say exactly what happens, but that's essentially what allows Ben Reilly to proceed with a somewhat clear conscience.
Right, because as we saw last issue, he was going to do it regardless, and now because of what happened, he felt bad and wanted to get the blessings.
Right.
and of course
But
Peter
bottom
being
line
Peter.
is, oh, sorry, go ahead,
No,
finish
no,
up.
I was just gonna say, and of course Peter being Peter, just kind of was like, okay, or it was like, anyway, go ahead.
Well, basically he says you deserve it. You
Yeah,
deserve to be happy.
which is
That's like the nicest of nice guy responses.
right. Which again, a very Peter response. When I'm sitting here like, no, no, he doesn't.
Right. Well, that's the thing. We know as readers, we know, or at least we have a feeling that he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
But at the same time, looking at it from the history that Peter has with with this particular clone with Ben
Mm-hmm.
Riley, I can sort of understand it. But at the end of the day, Peter's condition goes south, and that's sort of where we leave his story off.
Mm-hmm.
And the story of Ben Riley is getting the drop on the UFOs thanks to some technological improvements given to him by the Beyond Corporation. And
And
that's sort of
also the
where we
dragon.
end this particular story. So I have a couple of observations, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to parallel what I said about issue number 75,
Mm-hmm.
which is one, it seems like the UFOs are either being paid or were picked out by the Beyond Corporation specifically for Ben Riley to take on.
Okay, I
And
can see that.
they have tuned his costume to do exactly what he needs to do against them.
Right. And we just haven't seen that being explained. Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. So because it makes good
Right.
press.
Exactly. Oh, and they talk
Mm-hmm.
about the press too.
Well, no, I
They
know
talk
that, but yeah.
no, but they talk about him getting bad press if if he lets the UFOs get away.
Right.
Right. So he's able to track down the UFOs thanks to the technology. I mean, obviously, if they're tracking radiation, they can track X-ray.
Sure.
But bottom line is, it definitely feels like the Beyond Corporation, who is not exactly a benevolent corporation in the annals of the Marvel universe.
Correct.
So it seems more than likely that that the Beyond Corporation handpicked the UFOs as a formidable opponent for their Spider-Man to take on with appropriate countermeasures in place in this newfangled fancy schmancy spider suit, and with extra weaponry that they put that they give him at the end of this issue. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention, I think I mentioned it last week, is that what I'm afraid of is that they're going to string along, and they sort of did this, and we talked about this, Roddykat and I did prior to the show, that
They're gonna keep
that
them.
what's going to end up happening is we're going to be following these two stories in parallel, the story of Peter and the story of Ben,
Mhm.
over the course of these 19 and change issues. And it's just enough to keep the Peter Parker loyalists on the hook for picking up this book
Right.
while still pursuing this 19 issue story arc with Scarlet Spider slash Spider Clone slash Ben Riley.
Right.
And I don't know if I want to stay on for that, but I have a feeling they're going to keep their hooks in me for at least a little while longer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it may come down to some sort of tipping point where I jump off until they bring Peter back full time,
Right. And
at least in terms of my physical pull.
right. And I'm of the mind that even as abbreviated as the story is going to be, I think, and we did talk about this before the show, that I think they're not going to focus on Peter as much as what Agent 70 believes, but I can see where that would happen, where they would, because it makes it, like I said, this story is going to be supposedly short. It's only 3 months, and it's only 19 issues, and it's coming out, you know, 3 times a month. So it wouldn't be surprised if they actually do go like that, but I kind of feel like it was like, no, they're just gonna do kind of like almost like Superior in that, like, nope, Peter just kind of is not in the picture until like near the end, and then he's like, then he comes back for a reason, or I don't know, he needs a Peter needs a blood transfusion, and Ben comes back for some, for that or some stupid reason, or kind of comes and checks up on him every now and then, um, but not as much as one would think. So I don't know. It could go either way, but Agent Seven is more likely to be right in this situation because of the shortness of of the story arc. So,
Right.
we'll see.
I mean, Roddykat is saying that, 3 months. I have a feeling it's closer to 5 or 6. Just counting out the number of issues.
Well, yeah.
Three issues a month.
Well, yeah, that's only. I mean, yeah.
Times 5. So we're looking at least a 5.
Sure.
At least a 5 with maybe a couple of one shots thrown in there. Because we did the math and it turns out that it's a little bit more than 6 technically if they stick to just 3 issues a month.
Right.
So, we're going to be like partway through 2022 when this, when this particular story arc resolves itself.
Right. But still not as was said before the show, not as long as Superior Spider-Man was around. So
that's the comparison I brought into play, which is for a good amount of time during Superior Spider-Man, we were following along with Peter Parker in the spirit realm, or like his essence kind of floating around in the back of Otto's head as he was playing Peter Parker.
Right.
And
even that was kind of near the end mostly. I mean, yeah, there were some parts in the beginning, but until a certain point, but then that went away again.
Right, because at some point Slott basically wanted to stick it to the readers and said, all right, we're going to cut this off.
Right.
And they actually do that in the story, like as part of the story, like, oh, okay, we're basically going to stomp out this particular, kind of a spiritual remnant that's floating around in the back of the Spidey Ock brain.
Mm-hmm.
But, it eventually comes back. So, we don't know how they're going to play this out, if there's going to be a similar kind of spiritual journey going on, or like, whatchamacallit, astral form type thing going on, kind of convenient that Doctor Strange is not around for this.
Yeah, no, right. As he was in the whole last Kindred thing. Not whole, but most of it.
Right. Talk about taking him off the board conveniently, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that's that I definitely had the same feeling reading this issue that I read that I had reading the last issue, which was I was angry for a lot of the parts that I read. And I don't know if it's just me just not liking the Ben Reilly idea and the Ben Reilly character and where they took that character.
Yeah,
and I love that. I love and hate the fact that there are people who must have came on as fans of Spider-Man during that time, and they just go back and revisit the character and where he is and some of his supporting cast.
Yeah, that is neither one of us.
I mean, like I said, love and hate, left and right. I understand there's probably people who came of age reading that era of the book. So,
did we do the creative team?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there's really not much else to say about that. Like Agent 70 said, maybe we'll check in on it and for a couple of more issues, and we'll see. But yeah, this is as expected. Neither one of us is definitely not doing any physical pulling of this book.
Yeah, I mean, I have a physical copy of this issue. Whether or not that continues remains to be seen. We'll see.
Twitch, full disclosure, I haven't really been pulling Spider-Man since this whole 76 issue. So it is what it is on that part.
Right. Yeah, don't get me started on how I feel about whatchamacallit, about pulling all of Spencer's run. Oy.
Yeah. That being said, well, you know what? Do we? You know what? No, I'm about to say. Do one more book before we do. Let's just go ahead and do rapid.
No, let us rapid fire.
I ain't got time to breathe.
Rapido fire. All right,
I was about to say, you want me to go because I'll cover the Marvel stuff and you get everything else.
Sure. We've gotten some similar stuff in there.
All right. So one of the books we have in common is Avengers number 49. It's written by Jason Aaron with art by Javier Garrón and Flaviano, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So this is part 4 of the World War She-Hulk story, and revelations abound in this issue. One is that it seems like this foray of She-Hulk into the uh, loving, and I say that fully sarcastically, into the loving arms of the Red Room and the Winter Guard was set up, was pre-planned, and
Who'd have thunk
we
it?
get some retroactive dialogue between She-Hulk and Black Panther about, undertaking this particular plan and the risks of it. And we see that there's a couple things that are playing out the way they expected, and a couple things that are playing out contrary to what they expected.
Mhm.
One thing that they definitely expected is that the Winter Guard and Russia would make a move against Atlantis. One thing they did not expect is that the Red Widow would take certain things into her own hands, quite literally, and proceed with creating, let's just say, someone else who could probably walk through the green door. Shout out to the Immortal Hulk.
Yes.
You have anything to add?
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're coming to the end of the. Well, we're definitely coming to the end of the World War She-Hulk thing. Especially given what happens at the end of the the end of this issue, and yeah, that whole Red Widow thing was kind of weird because it was like, granted, not afraid to get her hands dirty, but I never expected her to kind of be like. Usually, she sends somebody else to do to do the dirty work, and maybe get her hands dirty, every now and then. Her going to this length and going, handling it the way she did was kind of interesting. And even what she said before she even went into it, or as she was going into it, was kind of weird. It's like, wait, did we see any notion of this? I don't remember because, like I said, the whole Avengers thing has been kind of. There's been a lot of things going on, so I'm like, why did they even bring that up? I mean, not that it was that big of an issue, but it was like, that seems kind of out of the blue
Mm-hmm.
to kind of come up. But yeah, we definitely see another an amalgamation of two different programs, so to speak.
Right.
Uh,
And
yeah.
they had set it up. It's not like
Oh
it's
yeah.
out of the it's out of the blue, only in that we don't expect this character to do it.
Well,
But
no,
they
I'm
definitely
saying
had set up No, but they had set up the whole Hulk blood thing.
no, that part yes, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
the dialogue that she said as she's going through that thing. Like
Right.
she mentions someone, whoever she was talking to, and mentions
Hmm.
a certain thing. And I'm saying, like, was that established anywhere? Not that it really made that big of a difference, but like was that a thing that's come up before, or is that just a throwaway line that's just kind of maybe that'll come up somewhere? I don't know. I don't know. It was something about that just kind of stuck out with me on that for probably no reason that it needed to. But anyway,
So, I mean, but bottom line is, it was an interesting issue. And what's funny is that the 750th issue is coming up, and this might be just part of what goes down in issue 750, according to the solicitations.
right. It feels like I don't know if that covers indication we're going to which I guess we kind of knew was coming anyway. We're definitely going to get an old persona back, or at the very an old look back.
Hmm.
And it feels like I wonder if they're gonna just like take part of the issue, be like, yeah, here's the wrap up of this, and then we're gonna go into the rest of whatever the issue is going to be about for the anniversary, and just kind of clean it,
I think
clean up
so.
the neat,
I think so. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up is Iron Man number 13. It's written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Cafu, colors by Frank Darmada, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is the next chapter of the fight against Korvac by the Space Friends, by Iron Man and his Space Friends. And that's
Boo.
what they've been christened in this issue. And the fight actually goes in their favor up until the end. And it turns out that both Tony and Korvac make a play for something that up until now we didn't really know existed in the way that it's being depicted here. Because let's just say the power cosmic was something that Galactus gave you.
Correct. Also,
And it's not something that you could literally go up to a machine and get,
right.
like a vending machine. you pop in like the amount of money, and you're like, all right, there's my money. Give me my power cosmic.
Right. Also, we see a little bit. I don't know if you noticed this. We see a little bit of Disney synergy here, because why the hell did the inside of Todd 2 look like a part of the Death Star?
Nah.
Because I saw that part, and I'm like, really? This is what they're doing, huh? Okay.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. So, but that's essentially it. Anything else on Iron Man number 13?
No, we pretty much, like, solicitations bared out the fact that, hey, Tony was gonna come up on a status power change, and we're going to get the shades of that, and then we're definitely going to get that next issue, based on what happens. So
Right. And as a quick addendum, the Scarlet Spider's in this issue in his Scarlet Spider costume,
yes,
and he's annoying here as well.
yeah. So we still don't know what time frame this is in relation to what's going on in the Pages of Amazing, which, again, it's comics, and there I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but it still kind of sticks in the craw a little bit.
Right.
Anyway.
Next up is Kang the Conqueror number 3. It's written by former guests of our pod, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Art is by Carlos Magno. Colors are by Espen Grundetjern. And letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna, our favorite Paisan. So if you haven't been following along with Kang the Conqueror, this miniseries has basically been a ride down memory lane, but with a younger version of Kang from the future, basically on a quest to avenge a death of someone close to him. And it turns out that his plans are obviously going to cause some sort of time paradox, but whether or not that means anything to Kang, who is quote unquote the ruler of time. Listen, this is a story that is full of time jumps and full of I guess Easter eggs is the best way to do it, is the best way to put it, because we get Easter eggs of previous points in Marvel history, obviously with Kang being a central figure in different guises, namely as Rama Tut. And we have in this issue the characters moving forward in time from the Rama Tut period to a future period. And I think this is a 5-issue limited series. I didn't make a note of that, but the next issue should show us where they intend to go with this limited series. Try not to spoil too much of that, but it's kind of hard to spoil because there's honestly not that much happening. That's kind of spoiled that you can really spoil.
Right. Now, I think we've said this before. Like, obviously, this is we know Kang's going to be in MCU, so they were going to put something out like, with him in it, and he's definitely been getting a lot more play in the last year. In on that fact, whether this particular miniseries is going to service to do anything outside of being that, and being a refresher for people who may or may not be versed in Kang's history, then that, or whether it's gonna get into some. I've had a theory that Kang's probably there's gonna be some. I think wait. Did we not know there's gonna be some sort of time event, some sort of Kang centered event coming up soon? I can't remember. I feel like we may have come across something like that at some point recently, but I don't know. Regardless, whether there's going to be in service of getting from there to there, or just, like I said, being service to the fact that we know Kang's coming to the MCU and they wanted to kind of do something for new readers or whatever the thing. We'll see. We don't know.
Alrighty, next up, Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 31 is written by Saladin Ahmed, with art by Christopher Allen, colors are by Guru EFX, and letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. So this is a direct continuation of the story we last had in issue 30, and we're following Miles and what do they call her? Sparrow? It's Starling, right?
Yeah.
Starling, right? So it's Miles and Starling, the granddaughter of the Vulture, and they're off trying to get some quality time, a la Martin and Gina, and they are interrupted by the shadowy figure that had been stalking them at the end of issue number 30, and that confrontation goes very badly for uh, these two lovebirds. I say lovebirds carefully because one is a spider and one is a bird, so it's trying not to overstep. Exactly, it's trying not to overstep here, but it goes badly, and the character that has been stalking them and confronts them is, at least in name only, one of the antagonists of the Black Widow movie, and that should tell you exactly who I'm referring to when I say it, at least in name only.
Well, and also if you're watching the video version, you can see who it is on the cover of the issue.
So, but yeah, it was, part of me was thinking, and this goes back to some of my misgivings about the character's portrayal in the Black Widow movie. I'm like, wait, we just had a miniseries that like kind of played up the fact that this character could take on like Hyperion, even though he did it very poorly. He still took on, Hyperion. So it's not like he's going to have. Say again?
Yeah, he took one for the team on that one.
Right. And basically fulfilled his mission on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no surprise that this character is able to get the drop on both Miles and Starling in this issue.
Right, to which I did not realize, and thanks for that handy dandy footnote within the issue, that Miles had even met Taskmaster.
You haven't read that, that's why.
Right. Exactly. So that was like that's why that came in.
I did see that note, and as soon as you mentioned it, I know that Roddykat has said in the past that he has not read that Spider-Man miniseries, the two different Spider-Man miniseries.
Correct. But yeah, so what we come to find out here is that
that's pre-Secret Wars, everybody. That's pre-Secret Wars, where the Ultimate Universe was still standing, and that was where Peter and Miles actually met for the first time.
Wait, I thought it said Spider-Man 2, which was after.
Oh, was it? I thought it was the first one.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, I'm thinking of. I forgot. Different Spider villain in the first one. My apologies.
Right. Yeah, because. Yeah, I think I will have to go back and check, but I believe they said it was Spider-Man 2.
Right, I couldn't remember exactly. So, yeah. But I know that there's a different villain that is one of the catalysts in that first Spider-Man story.
Right.
Alrighty, next up is Shang-Chi number 5. It's written by Gene Luen Yang with art by DK Ruan, colors by Triona Farrell, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is the Shang-Chi versus Iron Man issue, as Gene Luen Yang takes Shang-Chi through this story arc, this opening story arc of Shang-Chi versus the Marvel Universe. He's taken on several members of the Avengers, and we're counting Spider-Man in this as part of it. Even Reed Richards, even the FF, they've all basically been Avengers as well. But this is basically the more mainstream heroes of the X universe. I guess minus the X corner of the universe that Shang-Chi did in fact cross paths with, because what we find out in this issue is that an older Iron Man armor makes its way into the hands of some alleged ne'er-do-wells, and these ne'er-do-wells basically offer it to Shang-Chi and the Five Weapons Society, as part of an illicit arms deal. And it turns out that, spoiler alert, not all is as it seems. Mm-hmm. And as a result of some of the things that happen in the issue, it seems like the heroes that I mentioned earlier, basically the Avengers and the FF, kind of make a decision about how they're going to approach Shang-Chi and his new status as the leader of the Five Weapon Society going forward.
I don't know if you feel like this, and you probably won't, but did anybody anything about that whole thing scream entrapment? By the way that played out, because it was like, cause obviously they were trying to see, they were trying to get a certain information, but the way they grew in about it was kind of interesting, weird. But maybe it's just me.
At the end of the day, it I guess you could say it is, but since that wasn't really the goal of their mission, they just needed to break in. They needed any which way they could get in.
I guess.
So I thought it was funny that they used the Silver Centurion armor too.
Right.
That was like a nice little callback for for those of us of a certain vintage.
Yeah, I know. When I saw that, I was like, yay! Which we have seen. I'm not you say fair illusion, but it was like definitely earlier this year where it's shown up in a different thing. But anyway, sometimes I was going to say about this, but I can't.
Anything else to add on that?
There was something I don't remember what it. Oh. Shang-Chi pulls a Last Dragon move in the beginning. I don't know if you caught that.
In the beginning,
yes. But I will leave that to Agent 7 to find out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to think back on that.
And there's also apparently we found out something about.
Oh, that's right. No, that's right. Yeah. I mean, that's I get it. I get it. I just had to flip through the book. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember.
Right, and I think we also were finding out something about Shang-Chi's mom. Also because there was
they're doing a slow reveal on that.
Right. So that's pretty much the only other thing going on with this.
Right. And that might actually, to be honest, I'm wondering if they're going to retcon the movie into that.
I'm kind of wondering. I haven't seen the movie, so it still stands kind of the reason because I don't know how they played her in the movie, but that being the case, the only other thing to say about this was that there's another faction outside of heroes that is going after the Five Weapon Society at the end of this. So yeah,
I mean that's kind of a long-standing element of the story in that the other criminal syndicates and criminal organizations don't necessarily know how to deal with the Five Weapon Society now.
Right.
Now that a hero that they recognize is actually in charge of the Five Societies.
Right, but there's someone close to Shang-Chi that's in that group, or at least in that meeting anyway.
Right. So all right, next up for me is X-Force number 24. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Martin Coccolo, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is kind of a disturbing issue in that it hasn't really been teased, and it's a big revelation, and it's coming out of left field to a certain extent. All right, I don't know if Roddykat, if you read this.
No, I have not.
Okay, so it might actually be an interesting read for you because it has something to do. It may not be an X-Force. Well, let's put it this way: X-Force has to a certain extent has had its storylines kind of weave their way into the greater X-Men story more so than some of the other books.
Mm-hmm.
And this has everything to do with Mikhail Rasputin and his connection and relationship to Pyotr Rasputin, otherwise known as Colossus. And there are several revelations in this issue that I think are going to that may play a role in the future of Krakoa. Maybe not on the level of Inferno, but definitely will play a role.
Interesting.
So I would actually recommend that you take a peek at this issue and see, and check out this issue and probably the next issue, and see how the two issues affect the greater Krakoan X-Men story.
Up, yeah, I definitely plan to. I just didn't get a chance to get around to the X books this week.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of an X book that maybe won't have the biggest impact on the Krakoan X-Men story, that's X-Men #4. Uh, you know, the lead title of the X-Men corner of the Marvel Universe. It's written by Jerry Duggan with art by Javier Pina. Colors are by Eric Arciniega and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowell. So the cover of this issue that Roddykat has put up is an homage to the Headless Horseman, you know, uh, and it's obviously timely when it comes to it being in October and coming ahead of Halloween, the spooky season, and one character who decides to rear his head again more. Well, rewind that. They actually make a point of saying that this character rears his head in the acknowledged absence, they acknowledge in this story the absence of one Dr. Stephen Strange. And this character tries to wreak havoc amongst the X-Men that are hanging out in the treehouse in Manhattan, but runs into an extremely powerful member of the X-Men who puts this character back into place. But we also get some developments that may be leading to some of the story elements that are playing out probably in parallel to Inferno that have been that have been carried forward that are related to Orcus and also related to some of the characters that were introduced and some of the ideas that were introduced by Jerry Duggan in the very beginning of this X-Men run. You know, it's only 4 issues old, but that continues to develop in the last few pages of this story.
Okay.
So Roddykat, that's me dancing around the fact that Roddykat has not yet read these issues. So forgive me for like the super vague, but at the end of the day, very much non-spoilery discussion.
I'm sure there are somebody out there that probably appreciates it regardless.
There it is, and that's it for me.
Alrighty then. For myself, pew 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 pew. We go to. Whoa, that was. Ooh, somebody would get me for that one. Let me just do this typo. Change that. There we go. Star Trek: The Mirror War #1. Star Trek. Did I say Star Wars? Please, I hope I did not.
I'm not sure.
Yes, the Star Trek: The Mirror War #1, which is written by Scott and David Tipton, art by Gavin Smith, colors by Charlie Kirkchoff, and letters by Neil Uwatake, which just feel like saying Waylon Yutani. I don't know, but someone will be like, yeah, you're right. But regardless, so yeah, this is the first, I guess, well, technically this is the second issue of the Mirror War because Star Trek: The Mirror War Zero has already come out a couple of weeks ago, and this is taking up from that, where basically, hey, excuse me, they had already absconded with Mirror Universe Barkley from that first issue, and now are grilling him for what he knows and why he tried to escape from basically why he stayed in the universe, which of course they don't believe what he says after he's under interrogation, but they use the information that they glean from him anyway to further Picard's plan. Mirror universe. You got to make that distinction. Picard's plan to regain a foothold and possibly take over, basically to gain a foothold in the Mirror universe and pretty much take over the Empire. Probably at the long end of this. And of course, O'Brien, who's Mirror O'Brien, is there, and he's the linchpin of the operation because of things. Um, and at the end, there's a lot of skullduggery going on in this one, and Guinan kind of pops in to kind of let Picard know about that, which he should already knows about that, but there's apparently some things that he doesn't know that Guinan is maybe he's possibly going to tell him about in his plan, because he's he has this big plan, and there are other people who are plotting against him, as tends to happen in this world. And whether we see any of that pop off, who's to say? Don't know if the Prime universe is actually going to come back into play in this, or this is just a strictly mirror universe situation. Because for some strange reason, I thought the Prime universe was going to it's going to be a battle between the mirror universe and the Prime universe, but apparently that so far doesn't seem to be the case. We'll see how it goes. Next up, Transformers King Grimlock #3. Written by Steve Orlando, art by Augustine Padilla, colors by Jeremy Colwell, and letters by Jake M. Wood. So I think I have said before that this is taking place after, I might have said before, but I'll probably be mistaken, but after a Transformers Season 3 episode, if I'm not mistaken, and this is sometime after that where Grimlock gets transported back to this planet where these humanoids have been oppressed, and there apparently is still some oppression still going on there. Some folks ask Grimlock for help, and he declines until he realizes, hey, there's something else that he doesn't like going on. So he decides to help these folks out. And in this issue is where he, after training a bunch of folks to be fighters, decides to attack. And there's a couple of other factions, there's a couple of other factions at play who are kind of on the side, but because this is a 5-issue miniseries, are going to come back into play in the next couple of issues. But let's just say one threat has seemingly been taken down, but leads Grimlock to further his mission by seeking out one of these other factions that has come back into play, including someone he pretty much shunned in the first couple of issues, who's pretty much picked a side because of not wanting to help in the first place. But we'll see how that turns out. Next up, Transformers Transformers Wreckers, Treads and Circuits #1. This is another miniseries which I don't think I remember seeing coming. But regardless, it's written by David Marriott, art by Jack Lawrence, colors by Candace Hahn, excuse me, letters by Jake M. Wood and Nathan Wittick. So this is a miniseries that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the larger scope of the main Transformers book. This is kind of like a side thing. In fact, I'm just going to go on my notes for this and say, one, Cowboy Bebop is apparently canon in the Transformers universe now, based on the first page, which I thought that was a nice little treat. Whether that was intentional or not, who's to say? But I feel like it was. But if Transformers the Wreckers means anything to you as a Transformers fan, this is not the same group of Wreckers that has been in the old volume of the Wreckers. I mean, of Transformers, we will definitely say. But this is a group that is pretty much a mashup of Pole Position, the old 80s cartoons, the Impossible Mission Force, and Mask in a way. In fact, they have their mission is kind of similar, where they're this traveling group of stunt bots or whatever, or not Stunticons, not just Stunticons, the whole thing, but they're basically a traveling group, but they're also secret agents. So while under the guise of being these stunt folk, stunt bots, or whatever the case may be, they're pretty much doing missions that not unlike X-Force or too down and dirty for the regular Transformer Autobots to get their hands into, and they basically could be disavowed if they're found out. So not even, presumably the way they made it sound is like, they don't have any backup and no one pretty much knows they're doing this. So
Mhm.
so it's a little bit of all of that mixed into this. So there's this and of course in that they have this group coincidentally called Mayhem, who is trying to impose order by violence, by choosing violence. And there's this race called the Spacia 500, I believe, that the records are trying to go undercover with, but they're not so undercover because they had this whole big plan that the leader was like, no, the leader was like, hey, call the press, let them know we're coming. So, which, kind of blows the fact that they're undercover. That's supposed to be undercover, even though, under the guise of whatever this race is, which is apparently this race is like, hey, there's this one Cybertronian colony where the leadership of is determined by this race, and this opposing force called Mayhem wants to do away with that because there should be order and not just let anybody, whoever wins the race, be the ones that rule. So apparently the records get kind of wind of that, and they get involved themselves. But one of the members of the records kind of finds himself away from the group and gets runs into some trouble. But apparently at the end of this, runs into somebody that's familiar to them, and I have no idea who this is. So we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, all in all, this was a kind of a fun first issue in a way, and I'm kind of curious as to where this is going to go. Even though I don't know this group of wreckers that well, so we'll see how that goes. Next up, though,
I just wanted to add very quickly. I just flipped through this issue really quickly this week, and I have to say that obviously, and I'm pretty sure it's attributable to digital art, but the art on these Transformers books and how much they look like animation, and
yes,
just how good they look in that they're uniform. They're not they're not like misshapen robots and misshapen squares and rectangles being put together. It's almost certainly due to digital art, whatever program or particular digital medium that they use. I think that the art on these Transformers books is head and shoulders, above anything we've seen before.
Right. Now, actually, I'm glad you kind of bring that up because, with the exception of King Grimlock, which looks a little bit more rougher, honestly, in art, but still good. The main thing all these Transformers books that have in common are the letters, because the same letter is doing all these books. But that being said, the artists they have for these books, like you said, yes, they are very clean and they are very specific, I guess, in a way. But yes, they're the art even in the main book and some of these other mini series that they've had and one shots, whatnot. They've all been um, um, similarly clean and similar, like you said. The whole digital thing it makes a difference in it, but they all
Absolutely.
you could almost say, if you did not know they were using different artists, you would almost say they were using the same artist for all that. Like, yeah, you could see some artistic differences in some of them, but not enough to kind of put you off of them.
Right.
So yes, definitely the art in this has been pretty well and all. And it between this and the main book and some of the other like mini stuff, like I said, the King Grimlock one is a little bit rougher, but I think that might be potential. I mean, not potential, but that might be on purpose. But given what's going on in there, but I don't know. That being said, moving on. Let's see. Hardware season 1, number 2. Actually, one moment, please. All right. Hardware season 1, number 2. Written by Brandon Thomas, pencils by Dennis Cowan, inks by Bill Sienkiewicz, colors by Chris Sotomayor, and letters by Rob Lee. So this is again a hardware's return. Excuse me, a milestone returns book. Um, again, I am not very versed on too many milestone characters outside of say Static and Rocket and I mean Rocket and I was about to say Rocket and Groot, Lord, Icon and Rocket. Um, and actually, that was a typo because yes. So basically, hardware is the Iron Man of this group. As we found out last issue, that he's being framed for something. He's being framed from the Big Bang, which gave people like Static their powers, and now he's on the run, thanks to his boss slash mentor is of in Alpha Industries. But what he does in this issue is go to the last place that any folks would look for him, which is Alpha Industry, and basically gets some help from a a close friend of his, let's say, who ends up getting used as bait later on. Um, and I found out something not to give away too much in this, but he in connection to the Static book, he basically ends up sending uh, Virgil a message that, as we come to find out from the last issue of Static, a little bit too late for him to get at this point, which I found kind of amusing. It's like because during the course of this issue, we find that Static, aka Virgil, has been trying to call him, and he's been kind of busy running away from the cops or whatever, doing his business here. But then when he finally gets around to getting back at him, as we find out in Static, it's too late. So that's a little interesting. Um, and of course, in this issue, there's a little bit of not necessarily drama, but he finds himself in a kind of a place because of an event that happens, and seeks consolation from an ex friend of his, and also gets their help also. So I don't know. Like I said, part of me kind of wants to go back to the old books and kind of find which I said I was going to do before this thing all this kicked off, but I didn't. But I've been liking what I've been seeing so far with this reboot retelling of the milestone stuff. Next up, I Am Batman #2. I do remember Agent 70 reading the first issue of this where I had not, and I don't know if you were going to get around to this one.
I skimmed it. I didn't read. I got an idea of what was happening, but there was a particularly heavy exposition portion
True.
that skipped over.
Hmm. Well, if you plan on going to, I won't give too much of it away. But it's written.
No, I was about to say go ahead because then it'll make rereading it quicker. I just skimmed it very quickly just to see what was going on.
And actually, part of it I probably have to remember myself. But regardless, written by John Ridley, art by Steven Segovia, colors by Rex Locus, letters by ALW's Troy Pateri. So, our Anarchy gets gunned down in the beginning of this. So there's that whole throughput of like, hey, vigilante justice, and of course some of this is ripped from the headlines because, um, and so one side of this, there's this quote unquote patsy that's taking the rap for this thing, which they did do. But on the other side of this, I don't know how much of this is playing into Fear State also. Because, and I think that if I'm thinking where you're talking about, the exposition part might have to do with the whole Montoya and Jace's mom thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Renee Montoya at this point, like I said, this is kind of in the midst of Fear State, right before Future State. Renee Montoya is a commissioner. Um, uh, Tanya Fox, Jace's mom, is a high-profile lawyer. They have a talk about this case that I just mentioned about the kid that's taking a rap for this group, who's been pretty much fear mongering, and they call themselves the Moral Authority, and it's led by this group, I guess person, place, or thing, whatever, called Seer. We don't know who that is. On the side of that, and of course Jace starts getting a new bat. Well, he did get a new bat suit in this one, but it's not the one that we see during Future State, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess it's leading up to that. So we see him kind of taking to the streets and trying to make a name for himself while this other stuff is going on. And they even reference to the fact that like, yeah, Fear State's going on, and the whole Bat family is going after a certain person, and he's going to the person who may or may not be behind this, which is called, or the people who is behind may or may have something behind this, called Seer. So that's where we're kind of getting into with this. Or he's at the very least going after somebody who's attached to whatever else is going on during this whole thing. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. Regardless, next up, Marvel Legends Black Panther #1. Woo-ha. Written by Tochi Onobuchi, art by Satoru Zigsby. My apologies if I messed up your name. Colors by Paris Aline. Letters by VC's Joseph Bino. So this is pretty much a miniseries that is kind of recounting. Well, I don't think we've ever seen the story in full. Let's just say, but let's put it this way: this is an issue that is from the past of T'Challa when he was young, and he and the White Wolf, who grew up together, are kind of frontline in this story. And we get a very familiar story that I don't think we've ever seen played out in full, but we've definitely seen because one Ulysses Claw is involved. So, and I don't recall the original story coming off like this, but basically being told like this, or even been like, we know an event happens in T'Challa's life. We know Claw's involved. That's pretty much where this story goes. And it looks like this miniseries is going to kind of, from this young point in his life, go through certain events in T'Challa's life, including if the image for the next issue is to be believed, a meeting with someone who has a profound impact on his life. Another person who has a profound impact on his life. But in this case, like I said, we kind of get a recount of a story that we may or may not have seen playing out in full.
Right. I was just going to say that this is just an opportunity for them to retell and update the origin. You know, they even say there's a note at the beginning of this issue. I just looked at that very quickly. Before, you know, I didn't really have a chance to flip through, but I noticed the note in the front of the issue that says that the character was introduced in '66, and you know, a lot of the stuff that had been told at that point just needed a little bit of updating, and we've seen just we've seen precious little, I think, of the origin story being updated throughout the Black Panther series, the various volumes of Black Panther that have come since. Not the Hudlin, not the Priest, and not the most recent Coates volumes. They really haven't done too much in terms of revisiting the origin.
True.
They've added things, but they haven't revisited like this.
There's some side stuff that kind of touched on it, but not to this extent.
Right. Not in this kind of, revisiting it so that it sort of looks like the movie, but not really.
Right.
Because there's more elements of the comics in this than the movies.
Right. If you
at least what it looked like when I flipped through it. So
yeah, that's kind of accurate. Obviously, the one thing that wouldn't, if you just know the Black Panther because of the movie, you'll be like, who is this other white person? There's this white kid. That's all up and through here. Which by the way, there's a part of the story that takes them to South Africa during the time of apartheid, and that kind of plays into a thing that I guess shapes to both T'Challa and the White Wolves, I guess, relationship, and each other's being, and that.
Right. That's what I was getting at in terms of being more comic related than movie related.
So there is that, but I would say pick this up if you are definitely if you are curious and you're a fan from the movies itself. or even if you're a Black Panther fan and just kind of interested in some more Black Panther material. Like I said, this kind of fleshes out a story that I don't think we've ever seen played out in full. That we definitely know about, that we've seen, but maybe not like this. Anyway, just to see, what do I have left? Oh, the Darkhold, Iron Man #1. So as I look up this, yada. There we go. Creative team: Ryan North is the writer, art by Guillermo Sana, color artist Ian Herring, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Some typo there. So just like the X book that 87 mentioned, just in time for the holidays, we have this whole Darkhold thing, which started from Darkhold Alpha. What was it, last week or week before last? I can't remember, but those is pretty much a series of one shots in this whole event thing. This is definitely not connected to that Alpha book. But I guess it supposedly is of the world of it, and so I guess I'm just going to go ahead and treat it like an Elseworld thing, because the events of this book did not happen that way. However, it starts off. It is definitely a horror. You could put this as a Halloween-ish horror type story, because this is being told from the view of one Virginia Pepper Potts. And this pretty much starts and I would go so far as to say it's a parallel universe, but like I said, we don't know what that's how some of these one shot events have been going by, because you start off one place and then you see stories from inside the world of this thing, but there's very loosely connected to the overall thing. And doesn't seem like this thing is connected, because definitely the Darkhold does not show up, or it has even been mentioned in this book. But we start off right after Tony Stark's come back from his original kidnapping with the Iron Man Mark 1, and some events start to happen from that make him, well, not even events, but basically he becomes more reliant on the suit, and Pepper's noticing this, and it goes in a horror way, let's just say, and ends up in a way you wouldn't think it would, or maybe you would if you kind of see how this book is going. So if you're interested in that, maybe it's something to check out, because it's interesting in a point, but like I said, not directly related to that Darkhold Alpha book. Maybe I don't even know if it was even hinted at in it. I would have to go back and read it, honestly. But we do know that there's going to be a series of these one shots in that mold. So there is that. Let's see. I think I got one more book. Yes. Batman 89 #3, which is my last book for tonight. And I didn't get the creative team, of course I didn't. So let me pull that up real quick. Pardon me. This is part 3 of 6, by the way. Let's see. It's written by Sam Hamm, art by Joe Quinones, and colorist Leonardo Ito. Clayton Cowles does the lettering, and that is that. So, at the end of the last issue, Harvey Dent runs into a burning building to try to save a kid, and at first blush, we see him actually do that. Or was it a dream? It was totally a dream. It was all a dream, because we see flashes of like 1 year later, and Harvey Dent is in the place where he would want to be as governor. Barbara Gordon is commissioner, and all is right in the world. And even Bruce Wayne comes out and says that, I guess, that Batman is a bunch of mercenaries that he's funding or something like that, and a lot of people in of it. But all this turns out to be a dream, and Harvey Dent is hallucinating because of the basically because of what happens uh, with him going into said fire to save said kid. Doesn't exactly go the way he thought it was, and in fact, what happens because of this, let's just say, brings more attention to someone that does not want the attention for reasons. Hint, see the name of the book, or at least the alter ego of the name of the book. But also ends up let's just say the start of a persona starts to rear itself because of what happens here near the end of this, and because of what happened to this person in the fire that previously named. So yes, another Batman villain comes into the fold, and also there's a bit in here about him and a bit about Batman and Catwoman, who's already established, which pretty much sets this after the second movie, which, as I told Agent 70 about while before the show, it was like, in a book called Batman 89, you would think it was because this was like right after the first movie and not after the second movie, which came a couple of years later. So that one was kind of misleading in that. So, but it is definitely of that world as far as the characterizations, or some characterizations, because obviously there are some characters that don't show up in none of the movies that are in this, because they're kind of, DC-ifying this world a little bit more. So it's amusing and interesting, kind of weird, still the same, because of, like I said, some things don't necessarily play out. This is supposedly trying to fill in, I guess, fill in some gaps between, or potentially fill in some gaps between a couple of the movies, like this and Batman 89 and Returns, with a couple of things. And there's even mentions of a certain psychiatrist who has yet to turn into a villain yet, that gets mentioned a couple of times in the pages of this issue. I mean, in the pages of this book. So, and that, folks, is it for me. I guess we can go to Clicks of the Week.
Clicks of the Week.
So we don't have anything from our other co-hosts, because neither one of them read anything, apparently.
There's a ton of stuff out this week. It's kind of intimidating. I didn't have the best time reading some of these books that I read, but I definitely have to give kudos to Al Ewing for wrapping the Immortal Hulk with some stuff to think about. Which is actually something that Roddykat and I talked about earlier, which is kind of interesting. It didn't end on the cleanest of notes, but it also, kind of made us think that we probably want to go back and reread it and maybe look for, if not a deeper meaning, additional meanings to the book. So that's an interesting result of a 50-issue run. I actually didn't mind Avengers 49, despite some of the twists taken by some of the characters that we saw in there. And I kind of enjoyed the Miles book, just to see these two young whippersnappers kind of get a little bit of a comeuppance going up against a really seasoned bad guy.
Right.
Just kind of, because they're going to come back with a vengeance, but this time they're going to get their butts handed to them.
Right.
I think I'm just going to go with Immortal Hulk 50, just because I think it's got to give Al Ewing his flowers, as they say.
Yeah, and again, we will probably revisit that at the end of the year, in some categories. I do agree. Yeah, it was. I weirdly kind of say it wasn't the cleanest of ends in Immortal Hulk, but it actually kind of was. Like, I feel like I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more from it than, and I think that might have been suggested also by Agent 7. I don't want to speak for him. Like,
Mhm.
out of that, but it was still good, and it wasn't like they rushed anything. It was just like, hey, here we go. Here's the end of it, and here you go. Serve it up. But that being said, I don't know. I think Shang-Chi was all right. That Marvel Legends Panther is kind of an interesting read. The Transformers Treads and Circuits was kind of fun. There wasn't really anything that like popped out, but there was some definitely I thought was some very good reads. That Miles book was also kind of fun for what it was. Um, yeah, Avengers was alright too. Hmm. Maybe I think I will go for definitely not amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. I'm kind of slightly torn between that Transformers Treads and Circuits book and maybe Miles,
I
which
mean,
is
Miles, like I
sweet.
said, Miles is fun, but
Yeah.
I feel like, at least in my humble opinion, I thought that the way Immortal Hulk rapped,
Hmm.
I thought, just needed to be applauded.
Yeah, I mean, we were worried about it sticking the landing, and in some way it did. But also, we were. It could be said that there were expectations
Right.
of
We're not,
something
but yeah,
that
but then, like you said, we didn't even know what to expect.
exactly
So that's the funniest part.
right.
No idea what to expect.
So, in a way, we were met in with what we got. um. Hmm. Why am I having so much time? It should not take this much time. You know what? Screw it. Transformers.
What'd you say?
Transformers Trend in Circuits #1.
There it is.
Uh,
Just as I was starting the Final Jeopardy music.
yeah, I know. Like I said, it was kind of an amusing read, and the fact that all of those other properties that I said it kind of harkened to for me was interesting. So that's being said, we can move on to the news section, but first an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Have you ever tried an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we start off with the cinematic news as we do every week about this time. No Time to Die actor Lashana Lynch on whether we'll see her James Bond character again. I've not seen No Time to Die yet, so this some part of this might be slightly spoilerish. I don't
Yeah,
know.
neither have I.
So I'm just going to say that according to this article, Lashana Lynch has spoken about the future of her No Time to Die character, Nomi, who's taken over the. Ooh, Hmm, that's kind of a spoiler. All right. So yeah, this character's kind of gone into a place within that movie. Um, it seemed like it might be a place that some people would want it to go. Whether they keep up with that in subsequent movies later on, we don't know. That's all I'll say about that. Next.
All righty, give
Oh,
me a
she did say
moment.
that she would love to revisit the character some more, basically.
All right. Stephen Amell shared some harsh words for fans of the popular Arrow verse meme that repurposes the grave of his Arrow character Oliver Queen. Oy. So the meme began with a behind-the-scenes photo of the Flash star Grant Gustin throwing up a peace sign over the grave of Oliver Queen from the eighth and final season of Arrow. After the photo's first appearance online, it immediately gained traction as a meme, with users typically replacing Oliver's name on the grave and captioning Gustin to produce some hilarious results. So basically, Amel retweeted the meme to express his distaste, writing, "Could everyone who repurposes this photo kindly f off?"
And he's Canadian because he said kindly.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, there was a story about him that we never did. I don't think we talked about, but we're not going to get to. But it does definitely have something to do with the show he's on now, which technically is not comic related. But I will mention that to you after the show to see if you actually
The wrestling show, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Have you been watching it?
Nope. I don't have Stars.
Oh, it's.
I was just guessing. It's either Stars or Cinemax, which
Nope.
either of those two channels I don't have. So.
Right. No, you're right. It's Stars. I've been watching it with my my lady friend, and which weird. No, it's a wrestling show, and I'm watching it. Go figure. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode just caught a Captain Cold. Boom, boom. So yeah, there's been some time since Legends of Tomorrow counted villain turned begrudging hero Captain Cold amongst his ranks, following his death in the show's season 1 finale. Was that season 1? I feel like it was later than that. But anyway, it's never taken all that much for characters to be miraculously resurrected in the CW's universes of DC superheroes. The legacy of Leonard Snart, as he's also called, has continued to live on in the larger Arrowverse, where he's known to have become one of the Legends' more invaluable members, who was willing to sacrifice himself in order to save those that he loved, or at least put up with, as I remember it. In celebration of Legends of Tomorrow's hitting its 100th episode this fall, however, Snart's due to make a full-on comeback, with actor Wentworth Miller reprising the role for an in-universe trip down memory lane. And there's a recent interview with TV-Line about this, where the executive producer explained how the upcoming season 7 episode will revolve around the Gideon, the artificial intelligence controlling the Legend ship, as it reminisces about some of the adventures it's gone on over the years. So basically, to put this in anime terms, it's a clip show, or
okay,
that's what it sounds like from what this article is saying. Whether it bears out like that, I don't know, but that's what it sounds like from what this article is saying, which is kind of funny to me. Says here that it made the most sense for the retrospective episode to be from Gideon's point of view. Phil Klemmer explained, because out of all of the Legends, it's the one with the most perfect recall, who has simply been there for everything, which is true. Next up.
All right, Young Justice Phantoms has unveiled a new poster for their upcoming seasons, which reunites the original team. Young Justice returns for its 4th season on HBO Max after its return from a 6-year hiatus on the now defunct DC Universe app. Has it been that long?
It's been a while.
Jeez.
Although I feel like it hasn't been long since season 3, and I feel like it was longer between season 2 and 3 than season 3 and 4, but I could be wrong. Time is a constant.
Yeah, time is just all out of whack for us. We know.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, pandemic. So the series follows a group of young superheroes who undergo covert ops missions that the Justice League cannot undergo due to their high-profile status. Let's see. Ahead of DC Fandom this weekend, a new poster has been unveiled for Young Justice Phantoms. Collider released a poster that puts the focus on the original members of the team from season 1, minus Wally West Kid Flash, who, spoiler alert, died at the end of season 2. No official release date is given, but the poster does tease it. Will be streaming soon to HBO Max, so an official release date announcement is likely imminent. The poster has Zatanna on it with Aqualad. I forget who that character is on the bottom left. Superboy, Ms. Martian. I forget who that character is on the left, and Nightwing.
Wait, So bottom left is Tigress, aka Artemis.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, you talking about top left?
Yeah, top left.
Rocket.
Okay.
Yeah. Because at the end of season 3, they did make a whole new team, and I think there's going to be a whole new another time jump after according to this, which is not outside of realm possibility. I could have sworn there was a release date for this, by the way, because I could have sworn I saw something on that, but I guess not in this article. But I guess we'll find out more this week. The DC fandom, which is, by the way, as the time of this recording, this coming Saturday, which is the next day from where we are right now at this point of the program, and will be after this program, or after this, if you're listening to the audio version. So we'll probably have some news on it coming out of it next week. Next up, Aquaman King of Atlantis exclusive clip. See the first 4 minutes of episode 1. So this is a decidedly different take on Aquaman, and apparently you can watch 4 minutes of the first episode from this article, which is going to be on the show is going to be on HBO Max soon. And I don't know what to think about this art style, but not the first time they've taken a property and gone a different way with it. See Teen Titans Go. Now, whether this is going to end up the same way or is it going to be that same feat, we don't know. But like I said, the art style is drastically different from what they've been doing. Next up.
All right, as part of New York Comic Con 2021, DC launched a toll-free number to promote its upcoming HBO Max series, Peacemaker, a spin-off of The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. The official Peacemaker Twitter account wrote, "If you're committed to peace, call 1-833-4PSSMKR, hashtag NYCC. Those who call that number are greeted by the message, you have now joined the Task Force X meeting, which Peacemaker was late to."
Which is kind of funny because PSS just reminds me of a bodily function.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably intentional. The Batman teaser drops ahead of DC Fandom trailer, it seems. So DC has released a new trailer for The Batman ahead of this weekend's Fandom, which will feature a new trailer for Matt Reeves' adaptation of The Dark Knight. Although the teaser is a short one, because it's a teaser, it sure helps to build the hype for the next DC Fandom, which will bring news about all major films, TV series, and games inspired by DC heroes. The teaser shows the Bat Signal lighting up in a red light. I don't know what they have what's the deal with this red light, but it just keeps giving me Daredevil vibes, and I feel like that's intentional. But regardless, that teaser's out there. If you've seen it, you've seen it. I have not. But I guess probably between that and Fandom, I'll see it at some point soon. Next.
Star Trek looks back on 55 years of boldly going in a new documentary series. Documentary series, The Center Seat 55 Years of Star Trek, will consist mostly of interviews with cast and crew members across the beloved long-running franchise, providing sort of an oral history of the show. So there is a trailer for it. Is there a release date in the article?
Release date. Nope. Does not. Well, see. Press release doesn't specify how many episodes or give a release date other than this fall.
Oh, well, it arrives on the History Channel this fall, and it is narrated by Gates McFadden, otherwise known as Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Mm-hmm. And apparently it's also made by the people who did the movies that made us and the toys that made us.
Oh, yeah, created by the Nacelle Company. Yeah, those they do good work. Brian Volk-Weiss, they do very good work. You should watch the movies that made us. That they just released a couple of several new episodes this past week, and I think I caught the ones that caught my eye. I think the RoboCop one, and I want to say Aliens.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it out there.
A bunch of Halloween ones. Right. The Die Hard one is really good.
Nice. And apparently they did Disney Plus behind the attraction. So there you go. But yeah, I've seen at least 1 or 2 episodes of the toys that made us, and I want to go through some of the rest of them, and I definitely will check out the movies that made us. Maybe check out this because I like Star Trek.
Have you seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one? That's an excellent one.
Not yet.
That's an excellent one. The toy one. The toys that made us.
Right.
You absolutely must watch that one. That is a quality show.
I believe you mentioned that one before. Yeah, and I'll definitely check that out. Next up, though, Star Trek Prodigy and Holographic Janeway hold world premiere, revealed new secrets at NYCC. The USS Protostar is ready to boldly go. Star Trek Prodigy is almost here, and fans got an advanced screening of the premiere episode at New York Comic Con 2021. The new animated Star Trek series is a joint venture between Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation, and it features the holographic return of Trek legend Catherine Janeway, aka Kate Mulgrew, and according to his articles, there's coffee in that nebula. Okay. The show is set in the Delta Quadrant and finds 6 outcasts flying off in a Star Trek vessel. None of them even know what Star Trek is, but through their adventures on the USS Protostar and lessons from the holographic Janeway, they will come to learn all about it. So yeah, apparently the co-creators hit the stage at New York Comic Con to let audiences know that they would be the first to ever see to see the premiere. And there's a trailer attached to this article if you want to see said trailer. Next
up, Star Trek Discovery debuts season 4 trailer and premiere date. So season 4 of Discovery picks up on November 18th on Paramount Plus in the US. And it will find the crew of the Discovery contending with a massive anomaly that is 5 light years in size, threatening to destroy life throughout the galaxy. The event is so catastrophic that it pulls together worlds that are in the Federation and outside of it. There was, in fact, a big Star Trek Discovery exhibit at New York Comic Con this year, and I think I'm pretty sure they showed the first episode to a small panel.
Nice. I feel like this is
not a small panel, a small group of people who are on that panel.
Sure. I feel like having an anomaly. It sounds like a familiar. It sounds like a specific familiar episode of Star Trek, but I don't know, and I'm not caught up on Discovery anyway, and I don't even know if they've even hinted around to it, or this first episode is the one that brings that about. Regardless, I'm looking forward to catching up on it. Let's see. Archer bids farewell to Jessica Walter in emotional season 12 scene. Spoiler alert for this, in a way. Like, we already know that Jennifer Walters has passed a while ago, so they were gonna have to deal with her character in some way, shape, or form, I guess. And I have not been keeping up with Archer to know where her character was in the first place, but I think she was still on the show. Or her character was definitely still on the show until her passing. So I guess an upcoming episode is going to address it in some kind of way. And I don't want to read this article because I'm probably at some point going to catch up on it, and I know it's going to be, which is going to be sad, But
Next up, Critical Role, the wildly popular Dungeons and Dragons actual play series, is coming to Amazon Prime with an animated series called The Legend of Vox Machina. The series will premiere on February 4th, 2022 on Amazon Prime Video. On this past Friday, during a presentation at New York Comic Con, the Critical Role team revealed the cartoon's opening title sequence. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, big thing. If you ever watch Critical Role and like Dungeons and Dragons, it's cool. Let's see. Boop. What if writer receives hate mail over multiple Iron Man deaths? People, get a life. Writer AC Bradley says that she's been getting hate mail for multiple. It's always women writers, by the way. Also, that's punk ass people. Anyway, actually, that's not always true, but regardless, she's been getting hate mail for multiple Iron Man deaths in Marvel's What If. Marvel Studios' 4th series on just ended with an introduction to the Guardians of the Multiverse. We talked about it last week. Its first season had many buzzworthy elements. Among them were several versions of Tony Stark's death. So, cut to it. Bradley talked to Entertainment Weekly to unpack the show's finale. She also explained the existence of Thanos killing Gamora and Space Iron Man. saying that the story was delayed to season 2, which we also talked about that, hinted around that last episode of this podcast. She then promised that in this outing, Tony Stark doesn't die to appease the fans that's been sending her hate mail because the character's multiple deaths in the season, which booed, kill his ass more. Yeah, quote unquote. Yeah, due to the pandemic, one of our co-production houses. Oh well, we kind of talked about that. So yeah, about that episode had to be cut because of pandemic issues. But once again, folks, get a fucking life. Sending death threats to people just because you don't like the way they handled some stupid shit. Again, I hope they keep killing the character because of that. But anyway, or don't put them in at all. I don't know. I know that's not going to happen, but anyway, next up.
Next up, Don Cheadle discussed his upcoming solo Disney Plus series Armor Wars and how it will flesh out Rhodey beyond his connection to Tony Stark. Speak of the devil, the actor spoke to Ace Universe about the show, which has yet to land a release date on Disney Plus. Announced back in December, Armor Wars will adapt the popular Marvel comic story with a twist. Iron Man won't be part of it. Instead, the series will explore War Machine. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we know. We know he's pretty much sounds like he might be going through the same motions as what Tony was going to be doing, but we'll see how that plays out, I guess. Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales poster has Porgs recreating The Shining. Have you watched this?
No.
I saw Tim mention something about it.
Yeah,
I saw Tim mention something about it on Twitter because I think maybe one of the writers he follows or something like that. I don't know. But regardless, the Star Wars universe has brought some early Halloween chills to Disney Plus on, I guess, this past Friday when Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales arrived on the platform. And recently, the streaming service dropped a brand new piece of artwork that kept with the spooky theme by playing homage to Stanley Kubrick's take on the Stephen King hotel horror story, The Shining. With porgs. Yes, as bizarre as it sounds, hilarious but strangely eerie sight of two porgs, first seen in The Force Awakens, standing in a Lego-built version of the Overlook Hotel's corridor is something that is nothing short of genius, according to this article writer. Coming with the tagline, all worker, no porg makes Darth a dull toy, which itself is a play on the repeated line of Jackson's manic author. Y'all know what The Shining is. If you don't, you watch that movie, doggone it. So yeah, that seems kind of amusing. I have yet to watch this, but maybe I will check it out. Next up, Marvel made
an interesting change to the Eternals trailer and added several Avengers Endgame scenes. I have my tickets already, by the way, for Eternals. Oh, nice. Actually, I should double check. I should double check the date on that. But yeah. So they just added a couple new scenes with added dust effect. That's what it is. Okay.
Right. Yeah, so there is a new trailer out, and then there's a couple other spots and whatnot, and I know there's another featurette which I was gonna put in, but I decided, well, actually, did I put it in to play? No, there's another video that's a featurette that talks about that's pretty much a behind the scenes, and Feige's talking, and a couple of cast members talking, and this and that and the other. So you can check all of that out. Speaking of the Eternals, the runtime has been confirmed of Marvel's Eternals, and it is reported that is 156 minutes, which is like what, 2 hours and 30 some odd minutes or something like that. My math is fuzzy on this. Time math. Boop. It is 2.6. Really? Not 2.6 hours. Regardless, there you go, folks. It's apparently the longest Marvel movie to date, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
we're probably going to be looking at lots of vistas. That's what Chloe Zhao is good at, So we're probably going to be like luxuriating in those shots.
Right. And I'm going to take this next one while we're at it, because in relation to that, there's two post-credit scenes, and apparently, according to Chloe Zhao, both equally substantial and or their implications for the MCU's future.
I mean, she's kind of preaching to the choir for those of us who are MCU veterans,
Pretty
but
much.
I guess she has to tell that to people anyway,
Right. So when Fandango asked Zhao to confirm that there would be, in fact, something special during the Internals end credits, she replied, "Yes, don't just stay for the first credit scene, also stay for the second one. They're equally important in weight, and both have big surprises for you," she says. There you go. Next.
Right. So yeah, I just confirmed. Yeah. So November 4th, I will not be on the show. We will be in Movie Protocol. So
Sure.
that is not that far away right now.
That is
It's only
nice.
a couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah, I'm debating about whether I'm going to do that, and that's also my wife's birthday. So I don't.
Yeah, but you haven't seen Shang-Chi yet, so no rush for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but I might have seen it by that time.
Right. So yeah, so it's actually 3 shows from now. So we have 2 more shows before we go back into Movie Protocol.
But of course, closer to time, we will reiterate. But
yes.
Next up.
All right. Next up, in some of the big casting news that came out this week, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will follow through on a teaser from the end of Volume 2 by finally introducing Adam Warlock in the 3rd movie. Deadline is reporting, and it's been confirmed by James Gunn that the movie has cast Will Poulter from Midsummer and Black Mirror and Bandersnatch as the character that was first teased at the end of 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, none other than Adam Warlock. I know him as the annoying kid from We Are the Millers.
And I know him as who?
Oh, no kidding. You actually didn't even, I didn't know the name, but as soon as I saw the face, I was like, oh, is that annoying kid from the We Are the Millers?
I've seen none of those. Not Midsommar, not Black Mirror, or that thing you just mentioned. So,
gotcha.
Next up, the Expanse season 6 gets a tense, action-packed first look. The 6th and final season of The Expanse will be arriving in just a few short months, and Amazon threw it in a teaser as part of its New York Comic Con 2021 panel for good measure. See. Here are the details you've been screaming for. Screaming Firehawks this season. The Expanse will be a weekly drop on Amazon Prime starting December 10th and running through the finale on January 14th. So there's no binging of this one unless you wait till it's all over, according to this article. But why would you wait? Apparently, somebody from season 5 comes back, and probably some other stuff that I probably shouldn't be reading because I'm not caught up. So moving right along. There you go. Next
up, new art of the antagonist Suguru Gito has been released, depicting how the arrogant curse user will appear in the upcoming Jujutsu Kaisen Zero prequel movie. As reported by Crunchyroll, the new art of Gito was revealed alongside a set of new images of the cast, which will adorn the movie's pre-order tickets in Japan. The new movie takes place before the events depicted in the main Jujutsu Kaisen anime and manga series. Okay.
So I guess in some kind of way, if you could say this is ghetto.
Oh no!
If you're watching the video version, that was a poor joke, but you know what? We're gonna keep it rolling.
I was about to say, is his first name Timothy?
Oh gosh, I do not believe so. Demon Slayer season 2 trailer shows off entertainment.
Middle name Dela. I mean, anyway.
Nice. Demon Slayer season 2 trailer shows off Entertainment District arc and Mugen Train arc. A new Demon Slayer trailer has given us a glimpse in season 2 new villain, the major demon Daki, and other footage from the Entertainment District arc and Mugen Train arc. I am not caught up on either one. I'm not caught up. Definitely not caught up to Mugen Train, which is the movie / the beginning arc, I guess, of this thing.
Have you started? I was going to say, have you started that Demon Slayer at all?
No, not yet. The trailer was released during New York Comic Con and arrived a couple of days before the show's Demon Slayer Mugen Train panel, where the English voice cast shared some of their favorite memories from the film and series. To which I believe that was on Saturday, which you didn't get a chance to check out, right?
Right, but I did have a chance to watch this video earlier this week
Right.
since it released, and it's good. And I watched the new episode, the new Mugen Train arc episode
All right.
that
Yeah, they
came out
just
this
started.
past weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually it's totally new. It doesn't really include any animation from the movie itself.
Gotcha.
But after this first episode of the arc, they're going to start kind of rehashing some of the stuff that happened during the movie with additional scenes and different music and whatnot. So I enjoyed it. It's fun. I needed to refresh my memory of who some of the characters are because I watched Demon Slayer a while ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a lot of anime in the under my belt since.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, it's not unlike what they did with Dragon Ball Super. Which, speaking of,
Right. So Toei Animation revealed a new trailer for Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the second anime film in the Dragon Ball Super franchise during New York Comic Con this past Thursday. The video previews new characters and a new CG animation style. The film is scheduled to premiere in 2022 in Japan. The release schedule may differ depending on each country and region. As the name suggests, the film will have a focus on the superhero aspect. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Some very amusing news. Animatics parodies Thundercats in its first season 2 clip. I don't know if you got a chance to watch this, Agent 70.
I did. It's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So when the Animaniacs returned with a brand new season on Hulu last year, the end result was something nostalgic. But regardless of all that, premiering at the series' New York Comic Con 2021 panel featuring the voice actors Jess Harnell, Tress McNeil, and Rob Paulson, and Maurice LaMarche. The clip below has the Warner Sibley spoof Thundercats, and you should watch it because it's pretty good. It's called the 80s Cats. So there you go. Next up. Oh, wait. Now we go over into the comic book news. Hey, guess what, folks? You've been waiting for this, or maybe you haven't. Acclaimed comic series Saga finally returns this January.
Yeah, this is the big comic book announcement coming out of New York Comic Con.
It surely was, because there was a slightly minor flame that sparked up on Twitter because of this. People love them some Saga. I have never read it. But anyway,
I have the first 2 or 3 trades and I haven't read it either. So yeah, it's definitely a blind spot for this show.
Yes, I think I also have the first 2 or 3 trades and yeah, similarly have not read it. But Why the Last Man writer Brian K. Vaughan, together with artist Fiona Staples, made a long-awaited announcement at Vaughan's Spotlight panel at 2021 New York Comic Con. Saga, their heart-wrenching, twist-filled, sexy, violent, operatic space epic, will return to publication after a lengthy hiatus in 2022. Quote unquote, I've really missed connecting with readers through the pages of Saga, Staples said via a news release. So I'm thrilled to roll up my sleeves and dive into this world again. The next arc is already going places I never imagined. So there you go, folks. January. Catch it. Matter of fact, specifically, Saga 55 will be an extra long issue, 44 pages rather than the usual 22, for the same price. And the book will hit shelves January 26th, 2022. Next.
Chris Claremont returns to the days before the launch of Excalibur in X-Men Legends. Chris Claremont makes his debut in the X-Men Legends title in issue number 12 in February. Claremont will be joined by artist Scott Eaton and cover artist Alan Davis for a story setting in Uncanny X-Men continuity before the launch of 1988's Excalibur, which not coincidentally was drawn by Alan Davis. Oh, it's good to see Alan Davis still out there drawing covers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently they just repurposed an article for this and updated it with that bit of information, which that's weird. Anyway,
apparently, I was about to say the rest of the article is that in January, Walt and Weezy Simonson are going to do another X Factor. No, they're doing a new, instead of X Factor, it's a New Mutant story.
Right. Which I
actually
we talked about.
No, I was about to say, is Walt doing the art on that? I thought it was just Weezy writing it.
No, I believe they're both coming back for that one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It says Walt and Louise and Walt Simonson are returning, so I guess he is.
Yeah, because I don't remember Walt being on New Mutants. So.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does definitely say here. So yeah. Anyway, look forward to that. I still need to catch up on X-Men Legend. Um, but X-Men's Marauders annual #1 passes the torch to a new creative team in January. So Steve Orlando, who's been getting a lot of work lately, apparently is going to take over Marauders. So let's see here. Duggan's. Oh wait, Steve Orlando is replacing Jerry Duggan in January 22 as the title's ongoing writer. Duggan's departure from Marauders was previously all but confirmed by Marvel, who told Newsarama to expect incoming announcements regarding changes to the title, along with likely changes to the title Savage Avengers, also currently written by Duggan, which means are they going to actually end it this time or or what? Duggan recently took the reins of Marvel's core X-Men title from the departing writer Jonathan Hickman, meaning that his exit from Marauders has likely been in the cards for some time. As for Orlando, his run on Marauders will kick off in January 12th, Marauders Annual #1, which features interior art by Chris Lee and a cover by Russell Dodderman. It's unclear whether Lee will continue on with Orlando when the writer takes over the Marauders ongoing title, his first ongoing series for Marvel Comics. Which part of that feels like it's not true lately, but I guess it is. I don't know. Regardless, it's also yet to be announced whether Marauders will relaunch with a new #1 or continue with the numbering of its current volume. Because as we know, when Jared Duggan took over, they did renumber it. Next up, though.
Devil's Reign, the next chapter in writer Chip Zdarsky and artist Marco Cacchetto's Daredevil saga will be what Marvel Comics calls a classic-style crossover event. The 6-issue limited series is part of 8 upcoming titles Marvel considers tentpole titles that will shape the future of the Marvel Universe in the months to come. The series begins December 1st with Devil's Reign #1, and in addition to tying into other Marvel titles, is the lead-in to an unnamed new series to follow afterwards. Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Octopus leads a demented Fantastic Four and Devil's Reign event. Speaking of, a new tie-in to Marvel's upcoming Devil's Reign event sees Dr. Octopus forming his own take on the Fantastic Four, totally comprised of different versions of himself. CBR has exclusive preview of the cover for Devil's Reign Superior 4, a 4-issue series penned by Zach Thompson and penciled by David Tinto. The book sees Otto Octavius forming a team composed of different versions of himself from Marvel's multiverse, and the core cover by Ivan Shravman hints at appearances from the Ottos of Earth 614, 615, and 617. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover of Devil's Reign Superior 4 right there. Next.
Alrighty, next up, looks like I'm gonna have to open this article. So,
on that one.
Bruce Banner transforms into the Hulk when he's angry thanks to gamma radiation, but where does that extra mass comes from? Black Widow apparently has a solution. So this is something that's coming out of the most recent issue of Black Widow.
Yeah, it's got to do with those twins.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, anyone who wants to read this can read this. I'm not going to go through all this.
Yeah, and we talked about that issue last week before last. Can't remember what it was, and yeah, the faux Crimson Twins and their mass changing thing is basically the crux of this article. Immortal Hulk finale reveals how the leader separated Banner and Fix-It. We didn't necessarily go through that part about it, but we've already talked about that. We talked about the Immortal Hulk finale ad nauseum. So you can go and check this out for yourself if you want to get that part about it. Next.
Alrighty, next up, Marvel's classic duo of writer Ron Mars and artist Ron Lim are returning to the Silver Surfer in a new 5-issue limited series called Silver Surfer Rebirth. Rebirth follows in the footsteps of recent series like X-Men Legends and Symbiote Spider-Man that have seen iconic creators revisit the characters that made them famous. One of the things they're going to do is have the Silver Surfer search for the reality gem, and a mysterious figure has stolen the gem and used it to bring back the original Captain Marvel. Okay. And it's up to the Surfer and none other than Thanos, the Mad Titan, to set reality straight. If you call him Thanos, I got one thing for you.
Well, all right. Strong opinions of Agent 70 are his own, but kind of also funny. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is getting a comic book miniseries in 2022. In celebration of its opening at Walt Disney World in 2022, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser will be getting a 5-issue comic book miniseries that will focus on the many voyages of the Halcyon, not to be confused of that character that's in the Iron Man book. The Star Cruiser that this experience takes place on. So basically, it's another book based on an attraction at an amusement park. Not unlike that WB of Spider-Man miniseries. As detailed on StarWars.com, this miniseries, which is titled Star Wars Halcyon Legacy, is being written by Star Wars bounty hunters Ethan Sachs, and features art by Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren's Will Sliney. This team also worked on Star Wars Galactic's Edge, which, man, that's a typo. IGN, come on. Comic miniseries that launched in 2019. So, yeah, okay. I guess this is definitely another High Republic era book, if I'm not mistaken. According to this article, it looks like that's the case. So, cool. Next up,
the latest update for Marvel's Avengers video game adds a variety of paid experience and resource boosts, breaking Crystal Dynamics' promise that the game would only ever include cosmetic micro transactions. So, according to a new blog post, the in-game store for Marvel's Avengers now contains a section for consumables. These items, which can be bought with real money, increase all sorts of good stuff that players want to use.
And this is where I tell people of the of the video gaming community, you don't have to buy this. This changes very little about the experience. Like, granted, well, I'll take that back. It kind of does. It very much changes the experience because I know the it's been a little bit of a grind.
Right. It doesn't necessarily change your experience,
exactly,
but you don't have to pay for it.
Right. Exactly. Because I know people like to bitch about stuff like this, necessarily or unnecessarily. So, and yeah, like I said, it is like, granted, I'm not sitting here saying that it's not a problem, because it kind of is, because of the changes that they made to XP in the first place that made this thing more apparent. So, but still, again, you don't have to do it. Just, vote with your dollars if you feel so strongly about it, or lack thereof. Marvel's Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy. Excuse me, folks. Caffeine's getting to me. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy shares Star-Lord music videos, licensed track list revealed. So Eidos Montreal's upcoming Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game is looking quite promising, according to this article, with brand new single-player adventure putting players in the space boots of the team leader Star-Lord. Boy, I still wish that you could play as the whole team. That is just me editorializing this. The game was first revealed at E3 of this year. We've talked about this a few different times on this here program, so we don't necessarily need to go past on that. The decision to go for an 80s inspired soundtrack for the game has been discussed before, and of course, 80s music has been all up and through the Galaxy movie, so not surprising that they would have it in the video game. That is me also editorializing. That being said, we got a track listing and we got a music video And also, let's see what it says. Eidos Montreal's 2 music videos for Zero to Hero single are worth a watch, according to this article, especially because the in-game band Star-Lord is where Quill got his name in this universe. The first of the videos is short and animated with an art style reminiscent of the other cartoons from the 80s. Somewhat resembles He-Man Masters of the Universe, and each member of the band goes each member of the band travels the galaxy. Hey, that's a weird sentence structure here on in this. Travel the galaxy to take on an intergalactic threat. Anyway, the if you're interested, the music videos are on this article, and I believe is the track list, which is not actually in the article, but a link probably to it. Obviously, since there's going to be so much licensed music in here, and according to this article, the video game is going to have a stream-friendly mode of it. You still probably want to be careful because it doesn't seem, because we're not really sure if these 2 tracks are licensed. So yeah, be careful streaming this, which I'm debating I'm debating on streaming it, but we'll see when that comes because this game comes out really soon. Next.
Related to this game, the official Twitter account for the Guardians of the Galaxy video game has confirmed that Adam Warlock, just like in the next movie, will in fact be appearing as a character in the new game. Okay.
Council Surprise. Star Wars The Republic is testing a combat style revamp. So, in the build up to the 10th anniversary of Star Wars The Old Republic and the release of the Legacy of the Sith expansion, one of the add-ons elements is being trialed on the public's test server. As well as a new storyline, Legacy of the Sith is adding combat styles, which will let the players choose the ability of different classes. So previously, you could choose up from 1 or 2 advanced classes at level 10, and go from there, basically. So yeah, apparently they are currently trialing the PowerTech Mercenaries, Juggernaut, and Marauder combat styles, and they've been making some changes to those while they've been on the public test service. So cool. Yeah, game's cool. Next up.
What are we up to? Marvel Tabletop?
Yep.
Marvel fans have some great games to choose from in the tabletop realm, and now there is one additional one. Roxley Games recently revealed that their popular Dice Throne franchise is teaming up with Marvel for a brand new edition of their hit game, and Marvel Dice Throne is heading to Kickstarter on October 25th. No other details on the Kickstarter or the new Marvel version of Dice Throne were revealed just yet, but hopefully, as things get closer to the big launch, there'll be more details on which heroes the core game will include, any updated mechanics, and what heroes or villains will possibly be utilized as stretch goals in the campaign. In the meantime, check out the teaser video that is posted on the page that Roddykat has up in front of you.
Yay. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League posters include a question for the Joker. Which, wait, is the question going to be in this video game? Rocksteady Entertainment revealed a new collection of character posters for Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, providing a better look at the game's main characters. Each poster features a member of the titular Suicide Squad staring intimidatingly down at the camera. King Shark, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot are all present, each one posing with their weapons of choice. While King Shot's machete and Deadshot's rifle are menacing in their general size, Harley's revolver sports a full, fun detail. Scratched into the barrel of the guns are the words, "Who's laughing now?" Okay, not what I just asked. Suggesting that the chaotic anti-hero has had a falling out with the Joker. It's currently unknown whether Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is framing the pair as a separated couple or whether it featured an original take on the toxic relationship. Each of the images were posted on a different developer at Rocksteady Entertainment. So, and of course, the tweets attached with those said posters are on this article if you so choose to check it out. And of course, there's going to be no more news on it at DC Fandom. Next.
Sorry. Gotham Knights teases more Court of Owls with a spooky clip. So this is with some more stuff that we're gonna find out at DC Fandom. So the game Gotham Knights game developers are ramping up something big. Okay.
Yes. DC launches its first digital card game, which I'm slightly kind of excited about, weirdly enough. Not weirdly enough, if you know anything about me. DC Comics announced DC Dual Force, a new digital trading card game that sees players collecting and battling iconic heroes like Batman and Superman. Licensed by Warner Bros. Entertainment on behalf of DC Comics, and developed by Cryptozoic Entertainment and Ukes. Which that part is kind of weird. DC Dual Force is a quick to learn and fun to master collectible card game that will see.
Wait. Who developed this? Youth?
Ukes.
Oh,
yeah.
I say Ukes. I thought you said Youths. I thought you were like my cousin Vinny.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about that.
As soon as you said you, I thought you said Youths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the two Utes. Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Ukes, who I think is more famous. Well, Ukes is I believe they used to do wrestling game, the licensed wrestling games. I think it's like they may be trying to get back to it, and Dragon Ball Z games. I can't remember, but yeah, Ukes is a known quantity in the realm of video games. Not for collectible card games though. So this is, like I said, new. Anyway, so basically it's a collectible card games. There's a trailer here, and I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a little bit more on DC Fandom. And this is going to come out, and there's a trailer on here. It'll be free to play. There's some heroes, there's some villains. And yeah, like I said, yep, coming soon in 2022. Don't know the platforms, most likely mobile though, from the way it looks. Maybe on PC, hopefully. But yeah, this seems mobile worthy at some point, if it's not at first. Next up,
so this is a big article with toy news for last week. So just very quickly, Hasbro Marvel Legends stealth suit Captain Carter has been revealed. The figure is exclusive to Target, and you'll have to wait until early 2022 for it to release. Lego The Batman sets have been announced, and some of it is slightly spoilerish, but you can see what the Batman Batmobile is going to look like in Lego form, including the Techniques version. NECA Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, is coming out with an 8-inch figure from NECA, featuring a full fabric outlet and loads of articulation. Okay. It's available for pre-order now for $40, and it's expected in February of 2022. There's a DuckTales Scrooge McDuck figure, Power Rangers Retro Collection Zords, a NECA Gargoyles Demona figure. That's cool. Thor's Mjolnir Hammer water bottle. I think that's being reissued, or I guess I didn't know that was new. But that's pretty cool. And a Zing Air Go-Go Bird Butterfly. It's a robotic bird or butterfly that flies by flapping its wings. Okay.
Yeah, solid. The next article is, well, it's not even an article. It's basically a link to the figure that Agent 70 showed earlier, the Super Saiyan Son Goku Kaioken figure.
No, let's do it with the accent. It's Super Saiyajin Gota.
Yes.
For those of you who refuse to watch anime with the dub and watch it with the subs, that's exactly how it sounds. It's the Super Saiyajin Gota Kaioken,
aka SSGSS. So yeah, or SSJ as believe it's some places. But yeah, so yeah, you can. It's like April 2022 is the delivery month. Pre-orders are already on sale as of this recording. Oh wait,
April 2022.
Wait, it says here pre-orders have closed, so basically you're late.
You got shut out now.
Yeah.
I think it was open when I last looked.
Right. Yeah, it was October 10th to the 13th. So basically, when it was done before we even started recording. So oopsies.
Sorry about that, folks,
Yeah.
but I got mine already. So, haha.
So screw everybody else and but watch
Nanny
out for third
nanny poo poo.
Yeah, but watch out for third markers because they will try to get you.
Next up,
Yes.
Super 7 has launched the second wave of figures in their Power Rangers Ultimates line, which offers high-end 7-inch scale figures with tons of articulation and some of the best accessories on the market. Wave 2 includes Mighty Morphin Power Rangers figures of Red Ranger, Pink Ranger, King Sphinx, Rita Repulsa, and Dragon Zord, and they are all available for pre-order now, unlike the Super Saiyajin God Kaioken Son Goku. Take a look at this page for details.
Yep, and you can see the figures in that image right there, and that's pretty much it. Let's see. Oh, DC's new Superman, John Kent, comes out as bisexual. This has been the big news in the last couple of days.
Yes,
to say the least, on the Twitters. So yeah, in November's Superman, Son of Kal-El #5, written by Tom Taylor and artist John Timms, colorist Gabe Eltab, and letterer J.F. Sharp. Yeah, John Kent came out as bisexual. Also, and
well,
now,
no, I was about to say the issue hasn't come out yet, but they've announced that it's coming out, so they're creating some hype for the issue.
Oh, so basically they spoiled that? Because I know
Yeah.
there's hints of it.
Because it's in November.
Right.
Because apparently it was teased in the previous issue.
It was, because I flipped through it.
Oh, did you read it?
No, I kind of flipped through it.
Oh, okay, because I didn't flip through it at all. So, you know, they're announcing this ahead of time to create some buzz and some hype for the issue and making it a collector's item. So I found this an interesting news story to follow, because let's face it, I haven't been reading this book ever since they aged Jonathan Kent up.
Right.
You know, and made him the new Superman. I haven't. I just, you know, it's not an interesting turn for the character for me. I kind of thought they needed to keep him younger for longer, because they really could have, dwelled upon him being Superboy for a long time and really done a lot with that version of the character.
It's weird well, I was about to say, it's weird how many characters they've done this to in the Super family, but they've only done this to 2, so that's not really saying a whole lot.
Well, you mean aged up, or?
Yeah, because Supergirl also aged up. Was aged up in the beginning.
Oh, I didn't even realize. So, you know, it's funny because apparently people are up in arms about a character that is new, you know, but because he carries the mantle of Superman, it's a big deal.
Right.
And they don't think that, you know, and they think it's Clark Kent. It's not. So everyone wants to raise a big stink about it. One of the takes that bothered me, though, and it did bother me, is that I wish I could cite the article. It was somebody who's in the know, because what they said was, it's not Wiccan and Hulkling. It's not North Star. It's Superman. Right, even though it's not the Superman everyone knows, it's still the name, so it's a bigger deal. So and I'm like, yo, some of these characters have been, you know, blazing trails before Jonathan Kent came out, and you're just gonna like poo-poo all of that stuff,
right?
You know,
so
like that's what I appreciate. Like, hey, that's not cool. You can't put it like that. I know, I understand the point. The point is well taken. It's appreciated, but
I guess
I just don't think. No, but my point is, I understand what they're getting at, because Superman is still, you know, the name is more recognizable than virtually any other character.
Sure.
Even though it's not Clark.
Right. I don't know. I would have to read that article, but also the part of that is like, yeah, it almost feels like they're basically said, and I'm just spitfiring on based on what you said and saying, so I have no real knowledge of that. But like, yes, what you said is right, but I also feel like, well, I'm pretty sure someone has and will make the sense like, well, it doesn't matter with these other characters that you named, because there are lesser characters that nobody cares about, and this being a character name, you know, who people claim to care about is a bigger deal, you know, as opposed to those other characters you mentioned, like I said. So well, you know what? I'm gonna put this out here anyway because it's just a minute because I know we've been going on a long time, so I apologize. So if you are a hip hopper, you will know the name of Kwame if you're of a certain vintage, and Kwame summed up this whole situation just like this.
Old news about Superman. Let me explain. This is Superman. He was created in 1938. His planet Krypton exploded. He was rocketed to the planet Earth, and he became the universe's most mightiest hero. He's also known as Clark Kent. He falls in love with his co-worker, Lois Lane, and they get married, and they do it. They have a kid named Jonathan. Jonathan is introduced. He's like 7, 8, 9, 10. He starts hanging out with Batman's son, Damian. They form a crew called Super Sons. They're running around as 10-year-olds, beating everybody up. Then Jonathan's grandfather, Jor-El, shows up out of nowhere and says, I want to go to space, and I want my grandson to come with me. Lois Lane is like, no, you can't take my son. And they go to space together. Jonathan comes back fully grown, and now he is a full-grown man, and Lois Lane remains the same, and Jonathan decides he wants to love everybody, and he likes this boy. Hence, now he's bisexual. Superman is still Superman. Jonathan is his son, and guess what? They're not real. Get over it. Old news about Superman. Let me explain. This is
So that was his take on it. Now, granted, this slightly misses the fact that, well, go gloss over the fact that this, well, actually, shoot, this Clark, Lois, and John are from a different multiverse, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
I feel like
some comic book podcast.
I feel like they quote unquote killed the main the prime Superman and then replaced them with another Superman of a different multiverse at some point in the last couple of years. I don't know. That part doesn't really make any difference. It doesn't really matter. But people are crazy, and I know there are people that it's not my Superman. Well, it's not Superman. It's not his son, regardless. So, but also I guess the just in passing, so the thing about this it's kind of a deal, but it is got to go with it because like it's Superman's son as bisexual, but someone from DC also is like, well, since he's bisexual, they could just put him with a woman and just like kind of sweep the whole thing under the rug regardless, because he's bisexual and don't really matter. Whether they do it or not, who's to say? But I feel like that's I don't know. I'm of two minds over it, and I kind of really don't care. Like, good for them though. This is good for John. Good for good for I guess DC and as a point. But but yeah, I don't care. Cool. It's cool though. Next up, Battlestar Galactica fan builds a full-scale Mk2 Colonial Viper ship. I had to put this in here. I was gonna put it in the clickbait section, but this was too cool not to. As you can see from the picture, it's I don't know if it's a full scale. I guess it is. Well, it says it is, but I don't know how big those things are in real life. And it's all seen those on TV. But somebody made a scale model of the Colonial Viper ships from the original Battlestar Galactica, and I guess in some form the reboot BSG. The ship is being built by social media user Baz Arm, which probably not his real name. If it is, okay. And he's been working on it since 2019. This is still a work in progress, but he's expected to be finished in 2022. His original plan was to create the ship out of cardboard, but he ended up using plywood along with repurposed materials and the lugs, and pretty much did the thing. And there's a video attached if you want to see the building in, I guess, his building progress. So that's pretty cool, though, regardless of what he's got now. Like, the wings aren't on it, but what he's got looks like 80% there with the minus the wings and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Next up.
Next, last but not least, CBR has an exclusive preview of issue 1 of the 4-issue limited series Transformers Special Ops Team Defends a Planet-Wide Race and New Series. Okay, so this is
basically that miniseries that I was talking about earlier. That was my click of the week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's so, that.
Yeah, so the Transformers tread and circus. So yeah, don't even necessarily have to talk about that. But yeah.
I was about to say, we do have a little bit of movie news that I just popped up, that I think just popped up yesterday.
Okay.
Sam Jackson confirms that Secret Invasion is filming now with a new photo.
here, hold on, because actually I have that. I didn't put it in there because we had a lot of stuff in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll just go ahead and hang over some. Let me, where did I put it? Yeah, here we go. Boop.
Yeah, he posted a picture on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, it's him in a shirt with with Nick Fury phasing out like being snapped out.
Dusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess he says F the snap.
Mhm.
So but yeah, and this is while he's filming Secret Invasion, which I think we have actually said had started filming already. So there's that. Did you have something else or?
No, that's it. I
Okay.
literally just happened to have I kept that tab open just to mention that before we closed.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and mention something real quick so we can not have to talk about it next week. Black Panther's little T-shirt right denies sharing anti-vax rhetoric on set because there was apparently someone saying that she had been doing that on the set of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. She denies it, but despite some of the stuff she's been saying on social media, you kind of feel like that probably.
That probably did happen.
Yeah, exactly. So she put out a post on Instagram using a biblical quote that most Christians will use when they feel attacked. But yeah. So we don't know whether it's actually because I feel like it's probably true that she did, and but what are they going to do from that? Because they're not going to take her off the movie because of this. So. And again, this article says that she's definitely said stuff on social media that was anti-vax and stuff, and so she's been getting some water because of that. So yeah, that's her side of the situation. Go figure. And that, folks, is the end of the news. And
we've been at this for a while, folks. So we're going to try to wrap this puppy up with our last ad read of the night,
which is.
Our last ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
And as we come to an end of another episode of this here podcast, I'd like to thank each and every one of you folks for coming out, and thank you for this coffee for keeping me alive. I would plug the place where I got the coffee beans from, but they're not a sponsor yet. Maybe they will be at some point. Who knows? Probably not. Anyway, this, like I said, we'll be back next week. I have been Roddykat. This is wait, hold on. Before I even say that, we have anything else coming up next week outside of fandom?
Talk? No, I think fandom is the big thing.
Yeah, so there'll be news from.
We didn't. It's not like Roddykat was. It's not like you were watching Ted Lasso, so we can't talk about the Ted Lasso finale.
Well, and also has nothing to do with comics, but so not to say that we don't stray away from that, here and there, but that's beside the point. So yeah, like I said, just staying tuned. But regardless, I've been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdSneed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Definitely go check out his Instagram for his in Inktober goodies, and if he so deems it, his New York Comic-Con pictures.
Yeah, better late than never.
Hey. PCN_dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, PopCultureNetwork.com, and all those umbrella sites they're in, and possibly Byte under Comic Reviews No Vowels. I'm going to stop saying this as one of these because I feel like it's irrelevant one way or the other. The Osiris that is ish, Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. You can also find Tim at at CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him at The Click Nation on Twitter. That's TheKlickNation, all one word. You can also find him at theclicknation.com. And you can also find him at Comic Book Resources, CBR.com, writing his face off.
I can actually give you an update on one-time TikTok rival Byte relaunches as Clash, an app for video creators and their top fans.
Oh
This
my
is a
gosh.
2-day-old article on TechCrunch.
Oh my gosh. Rising from the ashes like the phoenix, I guess. Well, I guess we've got to rebrand. So I don't know if Dirt is going to be on that, or I guess continue to be on that, or whatever the case may be. Probably, we don't know. Maybe
Right.
I'll ask him. Who knows? Stay tuned. But regardless, we're already giving you some other places. Like I said, Tim, CBR, writing his face off. Go to it. You can also find this podcast on this Closed Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
And make sure to hit like, subscribe, and click the notification button and follow all of that stuff, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
If you and don't be doing that 5-star and I hate this program thing. That's just wrong. I mean, granted, you might take that back. If you want to do that, fine. As long as you give us the 5 stars, whatever. Just don't be dicks. Anyway, but what was I going to say? Woo, it's late, folks. And you can find us recording here every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/The Click Nation, and also twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Yeah, like I said, we'll be back next week with more goodness. Probably, there'll still very much be some more New York Comic Book Con news, because that's kind of how the news cycle works. And some of that will be interspersed with DC fandom, with whatever comes out from there that hasn't already come out. So, with that, this is the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One. Wakanda forever!